all but wait. Good evening. Welcome to the City of Paris Planning Commission meeting, December 6, 2023. Already December, wow. And we're a little cool up here, so we may be moving around a bit trying to get the heat going up here, but it's a little cool up here. Okay. Anyway, we're going to start this with our roll call from our secretary.
Commissioner Lopez,
Here.
Commissioner Jimenez,
Here.
Commissioner Gomez,
Here.
Vice Chair Shively,
Here.
Chair Hammond.
Here. Thank you very much. Would you please stand? Our Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Commissioner Lopez. At this time, we move to item 4, presentation. I don't believe we have one. And we'll move on to the consent calendar. Item 5A, Planning Commission minutes for November 15, 2023. Are there any corrections, deletions, additions? No, we're good. Okay. At this time, we would like to open up the consent calendar for public comment. Anyone wishing to address the Planning Commission on this item only, consent calendar is welcome to come forward. Seeing none, we'll move the public comment into a motion. Been moved by Commissioner Lopez and seconded by Commissioner Gomez. Just wait one quick second. I think she's an emergency. It's okay. Okay. Okay, thanks.
Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
Commissioner Jimenez,
Yes.
Commissioner Gomez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Shively,
Yes.
Chair Hammond.
Yes.
With a vote of 5-0, it didn't show the other two, but voted yes.
Thank
This
you.
motion is approved.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. It has been requested, and we will need the commission approval to move item C, the scoping meeting for environmental impact report associated with specific plan amendment 22-05380. I don't know if I need to read, I'll read it all. Tentative parcel map 22-05328, TPM 3730, development plan review DPR 22-00037, and development plan review DPR 22-00038. The proposal to consider the following entitlements to facilitate the construction of a 291,090 square foot industrial warehouse building, 2 freestanding sit-down restaurants, and a 52,008 square foot, 4-foot hotel, 107 rooms. Generally located on the south side of Ramona Expressway, 1,600 feet east of Paris Boulevard, north of Dawes Street. 1, amend 12.6 acres from commercial zone to light industrial zone within the Paris Valley Commerce Center specific plan, PVCCSP. And number 2, tentative parcel map to consolidate 2 parcels into 4 parcels. And 3, development plan reviews for review of the industrial and commercial site plan and building elevations, the applicant, Marwan Alabasi. Requested action, continuance of this item to the Planning Commission meeting on December 20th, 2023. Irrespective, we will open it up for public comment. If anyone would like to comment on this item, you're welcome to come forward at this time. Seeing none, we don't have any presentations because it's a continuance, so we want to move this to December 20th, Planning Commission meeting, and it's up to the Planning Commission at this time. So we just need a vote on the December 20th, 2023. Motion. Moved by Commissioner Lopez, seconded by Commissioner Gomez.
Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
Commissioner Jimenez,
Yes.
Commissioner Gomez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Shively,
Yes.
Chair Hammond.
Yes.
With a vote of 5-0, this motion is approved.
Thank you very much. We move on to the public hearing. I'm going to keep the same order so I don't get confused. Item 6A, major modification 22-05265 on development plan review, DPR 08-04-0006, tentative parcel map 23-05248, TPM 38518, and EIR addendum 23-05252. This was continued from the October 18th and November 1st, 2023 Planning Commission meetings. A proposal to modify DPR 08-04-0006, previously approved Paris Logistics Center South, Site 2 project on approximately 195 net acres as follows. Number 1, reduce the total number of warehouse distribution buildings from 4 buildings to 3 buildings. And number 2, reduce the overall square footage of the buildings from 3,448,734 square feet to 3,345,217 square feet. As well, previously approved TPM 35886 is proposed to be modified to reduce the number of parcels from 6 to 3 parcels and letter Lot A for open space. The project site is located in the southwest corner of Mapes Road and Getz Road in the General Industrial Zone. The requested action, adopt resolution number 23-32, recommending to the City Council adoption of addendum 23-05252 to the previously certified final environmental impact report, SCH number 20080711060. For South Paris Industrial Project and approval of major modification 22-05265. The modified development plan review 08-04-0006 and tentative parcel map 23-05248, TPM 38518. To modify tentative track 35886 for the construction of 3 industrial buildings totaling 3,345,217 square feet on 3 separate parcels, based on the findings and subject to the conditions of approval. And once again, even though this is a continuation, do we have any ex parte communication, any site visits, any other meetings that we'd like to disclose at this time?
We had an ad hoc meeting week before last, and then I drove past the site again.
None for me.
It's also part of the ad hoc and drove by the site.
Okay, and I've driven by the site a few times. Okay, thank you. We were given some corrections that I believe this is a map for the South project, just to let you know, and resolution, some changes and corrections for the same thing. Okay, number 2332, there were some corrections that needed to be made, and maybe the planner might go through them. But mostly typing, corrector, stuff like that. Okay. And Mr. Matthew Evans, good luck.
Yes, thank you, Chair, Planning Commission Chairman Hammond. Yes, just for a matter of record, the resolution has been modified to include the correct date of today's date of December 6th rather than the 12th. And there was also a correction on the approximate location of the project site. It referred to the north site rather than the south site. And I know it's confusing because there's 3 sites with the overall project. So we wanted to make that clear. And so we wanted to make a clarification from the staff report. We noted that there were 5 individuals who spoke in opposition of the project, one of them being Councilmember Rob. And that is actually incorrect. He did not speak against the project. Rather, he made comments as to his concerns regarding truck traffic on A Street. And we'll actually address that tonight. So just wanted to make those clarifications. Thank you. Thanks for
Thank
the
you.
introduction.
Thank you.
Just to clarify also that Councilman Rab didn't speak on as a council member, but as a member of public.
Yes, and that was noted in the staff report, but thank you for pointing that out. Commissioner Shively, thank you. So this is the zoning and vicinity map, just to get you reacquainted with the site. It's located in the general industrial zone designation. It's also located on the southwest corner of Mapes Road and Getz Road. The truck route to the site, so there's no confusion, it's Getz Road to Ellis Avenue to Case Road to Bonnie Drive, and that connects with the I-215 Highway 74 interchange. So just to go through some Planning Commission concerns from the last meeting held on November 1st. The Planning Commission noted that they wanted to see an accurate reflected site plan, clearly show the ADA and EV parking spaces, clearly show pedestrian crossings as the that sidewalk crosses over the truck trailer path of travel. And they wanted to see cross-section and setbacks to accurately convey the distances between project site and buildings nearby, including some residential structures and residentially zoned property. They also wanted to see a perspective of A Street showing the view of the screen wall and building from the adjacent residentially zoned property. We also wanted to see that truck queuing exhibit that shows a truck trailer stacking from the driveway to the entrances of the truck trailer courtyards. We wanted to see an exhibit on how the truck access would be restricted on A Street and how right turns onto Getz Road and going to Ethonac Road would be achieved as well as some landscaping revisions to the land plan. So with that said, we'll go through those changes. So here you have the corrected site plan showing the correct street locations. And you have the project site oriented north. ADA parking plan exhibit was provided. So you should have a total of 11 ADA spaces for building 1, 8 spaces for building 2, 7 spaces for building 3. EV parking plan was also provided. Again, you have 30 for building 1, 30 spaces for building 1, 22 spaces for building 2, 16 for 3. And then EV capable, you have 80 for building 1, 60 for building 2, 41 for building 3, and there's your totals down at the bottom. Pedestrian path of travel and how that's going to look as it goes from the parking lot to the future office as it crosses the truck trailer driveway. So as you can see, the applicant has provided some examples of how they plan to address the sidewalk as it crosses the truck trailer path of travel. So you'll have some signage, you'll have some flashing pedestrian signage, a stop sign before you turn, before you make that turn, so that the drivers know that there are potential pedestrians crossing ahead. And these are the setbacks that we talked about earlier. So this is your setback from Mapes Road. So there are 2 existing non-conforming single-family homes within that general industrial zone designation, but this is their view of that. So you have a cross-section you can see here. So the total linear feet is 580 feet. That's from the residential use to the truck trailer courtyard. Then you have a setback of 282 feet from the sidewalk to the warehouse building, 84 feet of landscape area, and then you get the introduction of some berming there as well in the landscaped area to screen the vehicle parking as well as the truck queuing area. And this is the setback to the residential zone off of A Street. And then you can see what that cross-section looks like, and then we have an exhibit of actually what this looks like in the next slide. So here you can see we have the view from that, from across the street would be that landscaped area. If I go back, you'll notice there's also that channel. It's 84 feet wide, 83 feet wide. And then you have a 6-foot tall berm in front of the 14-foot tall screen wall, which has been landscaped. Kind of soften that wall from that view. And then we have the setbacks from the residential zone designation across the street on Watson Street. So you can see how that looks via the cross-section. And then this would be the view across the street, which is in the Green Valley specific plan. That property is also zoned industrial, but they have provided that cross-section as well because we might as well since we're doing all the other streets. So, but you get an idea of what that looks like. And then there was concern about what this project would look like from that neighboring development to the south on the other side of the San Jacinto River. And so this is what the view would look like, and then you have kind of a mock-up of what those buildings look like off in the distance. As you can see here from this perspective, that setback is roughly 1,833 feet to the south. So looking north, we have that same perspective a little further to the west. That setback increases even further to 2,070 feet. So this is the truck queuing exhibit. As you can see here, that has been illustrated that 18 trailer trucks can be stacked for building 1, and that's between the driveway entrance to the guard gate. For building 2, it increases to 25 trucks. Building 3, and mind you, that's the smaller building. That one has enough for 8 trucks to stack. Truck turning maneuvers exhibit. So as we discussed earlier, there was a concern about trucks traveling northbound on A Street. As you know from the previous presentation, all of the driveways that the trucks can travel onto are Mape Street from Getz. And so as you can see here, if they happen to blow past that and want to turn right on A Street, we have some curbing and some median here that will prevent that truck turn movement. And then if you look at Getz Street, the concern was trucks being able to turn south onto Getz down to Enac, which is not a truck route street. And so again, we've provided, the applicant has provided an illustration of some curbing that would put in along with the median would restrict that right turn, thus forcing all the traffic to go north onto Getz Road, up to Ellis and over to Case. And then as you can see, the truck turning movements into the actual site for buildings 1 and 2, those are limited to left in, right out only. And you can see how it is illustrated how that is achieved. You have a raised median with a left turn only from Mapes Road. And then as the trucks exit, they would be forced to turn right only due to the fact that you have a median there. Revised landscaping. So the main concerns from the previous landscape plan, obviously we had some trees in there that are not on the approved list that the Planning Commission prefers, and that has been removed. They've added a larger landscape buffer for buildings 2 and 3 between the queuing area and the parking lot. There's approximately 300 additional trees that have been added to the landscape plan. And all street tree box sizes have been increased from 24 to 36 inch. And just some changes to the renderings. I think that's what you have in front of you. I didn't provide it all, but here's an example of some of those, what they like. So these revisions mostly reflect two things, and that is additional landscaping and then how the lighting is changed. So here you have overall site. The original's on the top, the revised is on the bottom. Same for building 1. And you'll notice in building 1, not only is there landscaping provided, but they've also showed the lighting standards. And so your nighttime rendering changes a little bit. Rather than uplighting of the building, you have lighting of the parking lot. There is some lighting on the building still, but rather than, just having uplighting building, you have that parking lot lighting as well. Building 2, and this is from A Street perspective. Again, the rendering shows that additional landscaping that's been introduced, the larger sizes, and then that nighttime perspective as well. And then rendering 3, this is at the terminus of Watson Street. Original's on the top, revised is on the bottom. As you can see, the addition of that landscaping, it kind of hides the building a bit, but that's what it'll look like. And then your nighttime rendering. So as you know, public hearing notice, all property owners within 500 foot radius were notified. No comments were received prior to the previous meeting on November 1st. Planning Commission, and no additional comments have been received prior to today. Recommendation is to adopt resolution number 2332, recommending that the City Council action take the following City Council take the following action. And that would be to adopt the EIR addendum 23-05252, an addendum to the previously approved environmental impact report for the project, and approve major modification 2205265, a modification to development plan review DPR 0804006 and tentative parcel map 3205248 for TPM 38518 based on the findings of fact and subject to conditions of approval. And that concludes my presentation. The applicant is here and would like to speak as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. And we're going to keep in line what we've been doing. If the participant, applicant, would like to make a comment, now is the time that we'll reserve our questions after you get through. So if the yeah, just do us the usual. Just state your full name and spell your last name for us. So.
Sure. My name is Brandon Dickens, last name Dickens. I'm Vice President Capital Deployment with IDI Logistics. We really appreciate meeting with us here tonight for all the efforts of staff. They've been tremendous to work with. Really appreciate, in particular, the ad hoc meeting that we had a couple weeks ago with Vice Chair Shively and Commissioner Jimenez. That was much appreciated and helped us to make sure we are headed in the right direction and responding to each of your concerns and questions on the project. Just taking a step back on the project that was approved in 2010 with the corresponding development agreement. We've, here we are 13 years later, and we really feel like we have provided a much better project now for the community. We, both from enhanced architecture and higher coverage and landscaping, visually superior, also just from a public safety standpoint, better circulation, separation from autos and truck access to the property, and ensuring pedestrians entering the building are secured and are protected there, is recognize the risk. We with the reduction in square footage in the property, the impacts are less, and it is supported by the addendum that is before you. Just wanted to, you saw many of the exhibits that Matthew went through, but just wanted to highlight the items that we did specifically respond to from the previous commission hearing. We heard loud and clear he wanted a denser landscape. We provided a wider buffer between the truck queuing lane adjacent to the building and the pedestrian auto parking area to make sure that that is a thicker buffer or screening, natural screening between MAPES and the building. We added, as Matthew pointed out, 300 trees along MAPES, trees along A Street, and then throughout the parking lot as well, better shade coverage. We did, per the conditions of approval, street trees are enlarged from 24-inch to 36-inch, and the planter trees are also up to 24-inch. So we provide a much denser product. We updated all of the renderings, making sure they were more confirming that they were accurately representing what's depicted on the landscape plan, and including the landscape uplighting. The A Street elevation was a lot of focus there to make sure that's right, and knowing there was a lot of concern about that, what that would look like from the west side of A Street. We added the perspective from residential on the south, noting the range of 1,800 to 2,000 feet, and what that perspective would look like. We provided each of those cross sections on the street with line of sights, noting the 464 feet from the edge of the residential boundary on A Street to the doors, compared to the 300 feet that's required under the Good Neighbor policy. Even though the site plans already had accounted for the ADA and EV parking stalls, we didn't make any changes, just simply provided those exhibits to highlight a little bit closer what that looked like and how they laid out, and provided those numbers. The channelizing exhibits for recognizing the concern for trucks being prevented from turning right or north on A Street, and then going south on Getz from MAPES. We have our consultant here with Urban Crossroads who can review that with you if you have any more questions about that. We provided the queuing exhibits for the buildings, showing how that would work. Those exhibits don't depict 3 lanes of queuing, which is possible. The width provides for that if needed. In all reality, and speaking to the 2 users that we have under contract for the 2 larger buildings, their peak stacking is anticipated to be much less than what's depicted there. They would, both of them said they would not anticipate ever exceeding single digits in stacking. I have my colleague here today as well, Brian Karras, who is going to go through some of the offsite improvements that we plan for the project, and then Young Nam, who's the president and partner of HPA, just high-level talk through the architecture on the property and a little bit on the queuing. And then we have the rest of our team here as well, if there's any questions, landscaping or so that we can address. So with that, if I can turn it over to Ben.
Thank you, sir. I think you know the routine by now. State your full name.
Of
And spell
course.
your last name for us.
My name is Brian Karras. Last name is spelled C-A-R-I-S. I appreciate the opportunity. We've worked long and hard for this, so It's good to finally be here. As Brandon mentioned, I just wanted to talk through some of the off-site improvements that we're going to be doing for this project, and also in conjunction with our other project at the north. I know on the map that was showing the truck route, that's the final city-approved, required truck route for South Paris. And we're putting in approximately a little over 6 miles of new roadway. So there you go. So widening the existing roads from their 2-lane condition to a 4-lane condition, 2 on either side, with medians, bike lanes. From this site in particular, we're obviously going to put in all of the roadway around the perimeter of the site, but leading over to Getz Road, as you head north, for the portions that haven't been improved yet on Getz Road, I know that was a recent city project, we'll be improving those portions, connecting Ellis at the north end of Getz, taking Ellis all the way over to Case, and doing a full improvement of Case Road as well, leading all the way down essentially to the MWD facility over by Mapes, where there's a kind of drastic skew in the road that crosses over the railroad tracks. We're going to be eliminating that skew and having a perpendicular left turn on Mapes at that location to make it safer. The lead over to Bonnie and the 215 connection. And actually this month, we're starting with the Bonnie 215 improvement work relating to the widening that's happening at that interchange. There's some things to be of note over at A Street and Mapes. There's a rail crossing that we're going to be enhancing and making safer, going through the public PUC to enhance that crossing and make it safe for the rail facility to the north. The rail museum will be used. They use that as backing up their trains as they use their switches. So that'll be an improvement. And also there's 2 other locations of rail crossing improvements over at Case and Ellis and Mapes and Case. Those will be widened and improved with new swing arms and flashers, making it pedestrian safe. We'll be improving the Case Road Bridge from it's very narrow right now and short. So it'll be lengthening to the same length as the new railroad bridge that's just adjacent to it. And we'll have the 2 lanes on either side with a safe walking and/or pedestrian path along the side of the bridge as well, which is going to be blocked off from traffic with a concrete barrier across the bridge, so pedestrians will be able to safely access across that bridge. We're enhancing 3 signalized intersections, and we're adding 5 new signalized intersections to this project because I think I mentioned before, it's a little over 6 miles of roadway. There's a lot of road crossings, and wherever there's major intersections, we're going to be, if there isn't a signalized lighted intersection, it's coming. So it'll be nice enhancements to the entire South Paris area. Am I missing anything? I think that's, for the most part, covers all the major enhancements for South Paris. It's going to be a big undertaking. It's probably going to be about 18 months of road work, but there's always going to be access. We're not going to be shutting any roads down, so that part's good. About the only area that's going to have a slight detour is at the intersection of Ellis and Case. There's major improvement to that rail crossing at that location, and we've got a city-approved detour for the short period of time that we're going to be at that location. So appreciate your time.
And thank you very much.
Hello, good evening, Commissioners. My name is Young Nam with the HPA Architects.
Just spell your last name for us. Just for
My
the
last name, Nam, Nam.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us here today. And continuation from our last hearing, which I did not participate, but all the issues that were brought up and concerns, I believe that's been addressed. Most of it, I think, if not all. But I just want to kind of touch up on the site plans and perhaps the building design quickly. And I think overall, from what's been approved back in 2010, with the 4 buildings, obviously, we're lessening the impact by going with the smaller square footage, but at the same time, I would like to, for you to acknowledge the amount of landscape that's been added, tremendous amount, going from 12% to probably close to 20% in landscape area, not counting the open space. And where did that come from? Obviously, getting 100,000 square foot less out of the building. But also, we also had an ample trailer yard that we took most of that out on few buildings where we made up with the additional auto parking and more landscaping. As far as the overall dealing with the neighboring adjacencies, I think that's been addressed with the proper screening that's been mentioned along the A Street, and also softening the wall that's there to screen the trucks, but at the same time, lessening the height by reducing the berm that was mentioned. So that's been picked up. I think that on your presentation, I think that one of the concerns was the truck backing up out on the Mape Street, coming onto the site, and the demonstration of that, and also the quantity, I think, that needs to be even more updated. I think it's there to handle a lot more than that before it hits the gate. But I think that the 2 larger buildings will get up to about 30 trucks at one time, and smaller buildings over 20s. But as Brendan pointed out, that's not the reality that we're hearing from the users. But in case, they should assure you that we will get the trucks off the street as quickly as possible. And we also increase some of the landscaping facing the Mapes. Obviously, we have enough concrete on this building, and keep putting up a wall does not make any sense to me. We did widen the landscape along the buildings facing Mapes to additional 5 feet to be able to plant some more trees and kind of densify that to screen some of the queuing that may seem necessary. As far as going back to the building elevation, I know it wasn't on the screen, but what was approved back in 2010 versus what we have here, I think, is much more improvement. Understanding the background of the city, as we have been working in the city for more than 20 years here, designed a whole lot of buildings, and I see very familiar faces over here. And yes. And just from architectural standpoint, and what City of Paris is trying to achieve, I think we're getting it. Original elevation or design was much modern and techy, and I don't think that is probably the right thing for City of Paris. As we witness your City Hall here and the gateway to Paris, all that stuff that we see, I think is registering, where I think it warrants much more, people scale friendly, warm, I think, even though we do see a whole lot of warm colors out there. I think there are some, that 20 years in making, adding some excitement to the building and freshen it up a bit. I think it's a good thing, and I think we have very good color palettes for our building that we're proposing here. So with that, I hope you guys find our project acceptable, and we have a whole team here to answer any questions. And thank you for your time, and we look forward to getting your approval tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Anyone else? Okay. At this time, we move to questions for staff and/or the applicant. Speak now, forever hold your peace, as we say.
I have a quick question for Matthew. So I know the San Jacinto River Trail was proposed with this project. Is the applicant going to be constructing it, or are they just providing funding for the project?
Yes, and I believe those are part of the conditions of approval.
So they'll be providing the funding?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So the city will take care of the construction of that?
They have the option to do it. I know that the likelihood is the payment option, just because we been working with flood control and the RCA, and it's a very, it's an ongoing process that we've been working with them for years. So just knowing how long that takes, we're probably going to end up taking the financial contribution option, and we'll take care of it at some point in the future.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to follow up on a question. That's a very good question. I'm glad you brought it up. Contributing to the community is very important, so having this trail come in, I think it's very important, especially to the residents. I'm not happy with not knowing when this will be built, and I'm actually more interested in even having an oversight committee for this specific contribution, if it indeed is going to go through. And I'm not sure who decides what is done with the contribution, but I'd rather see it go towards where it's being proposed by the builder. IDI has contributed other types as well. So can we have some kind of, I don't know, is there any way that we can do that instead?
Typically, the funding, in the case that we have the funding, it would go through the Parks Committee. There's a committee that's already established by the city to go through that process.
Okay.
And so that would be that oversight committee. The only reason I mentioned that is because the city tried to build a trail to the south along the residential track, and it's been a 6-year process for the city.
Okay.
And just knowing where the flood control and the RCA is at, we just don't foresee that being resolved anytime soon. That's why we gave them the option to provide the funding for that.
Wouldn't it be a good option to be able to have them try and establish and figuring that out with the city?
They have been working with the city for that option. We've met with the agency that would have oversight over it. And knowing how arduous that process is,
Yeah.
we would continue to work with them on that, but just knowing where everything is at to get that resolved anytime soon is, we don't foresee that happening anytime soon. I know that we've been meeting with them on a regular basis.
Okay.
And so that's the reason why there is that financial contribution option.
You've been meeting with the developer or with the parks, with the recreation department?
We've been meeting with the agency that would require the approval, which would be flood control.
Okay.
And then the wildlife agency, which is the environmental agency that oversees this area. And there's another agency called the Riverside Conservation Authority. So there's a lot of regulatory agency that needs to pass hurdles before we can even start construction.
Okay. It makes sense, and I understand that it sounds like it's an arduous process. However, is the developer willing to work with these agencies to be able to move forward on this proposed project? I think this is more valuable to the residents than having that money put aside for whatever may be voted in the future. How does the builder feel about this?
You know, we have no objection, fully supportive of the trail system. We're aware of the constraints, the agencies that need to approve it. We know that takes time to get through that. And, you know, the best path forward, you know, we're looking to the city to advise on how they'd like us to proceed. I know they've provided these options, but fully supportive of it.
I would also, I'm not sure if you agree with this, but I think also if the contribution would have, well, that trail park have, you know, a stamp, you know, some kind of recognition to the contributor who's bringing it to our city and making it part of our trail system to solidify the relationship that has already been established with the city and to see the positive, what's moving forward. Do you understand where I'm coming from with that? And do you agree with that?
Yeah.
I think that'd be good. So,
yeah.
okay, I think I have my answer on that. Thank you.
John, just to confirm, the interior crosswalks, pedestrian crosswalks on the interior side, not only have the flashers on the pole, but on the crosswalk itself?
That is correct. We haven't gone through the final design yet, but this is conceptual, so we make sure that those are highlighted so pedestrians know exactly where to cross. And I believe there's a barrier between the auto parking and the truck route, so pedestrians would be diverted into that location to cross.
Yeah, that's correct. Thank you.
I also wanted to ask, I know when we had ad hoc, one of the things we reviewed was the on-site truck traffic flow. Would you review that, please, just for my fellow commissioners? I know we had talked about that. About how they move, where they enter, where they rotate around. I know we had talked about how they would move.
I think I need to kind of have the site plan so we could reference it. Yeah, but overall, I would, we should do it. One before that? Yeah, there. Yeah, overall. Like that, yeah. So we anticipate all the truck traffics will be coming in from Mapes Road. And obviously that you guys are, have issues with the potential stacking that could occur out on the street. And we have the left turn pocket in, breaking the medians for all those 3 buildings. And it's got its own dedicated truck drive entrance that is separated from the auto for people safety. And as they enter, the main entrance for the trucks to get into is located on the upper left-hand side of the building. So all of the trucks will start queuing up. As you come onto the side, it will turn right and making loop in front of the building to hit the gate. And we do think that for building 1 and 2, we're looking at potentially, the 30 trucks at one point. As far as on-site circulation, they would enter the yard and they have a circulation on 3 sides of the building, go down south and go east and get onto the other side of the building where we also have the yard. And they would have option to exit out the same way or go straight out on the opposite side, which would be on the east side. And no entrance off from the Watson Road ever, for as far as the trucks go. What's there for is for auto and also for the fire. And that kind of works for all 3 buildings. See if that explains your question.
Yeah, but I think what we had talked about is they were all going to turn left. Everybody was going to go right. And even if they were going the other side of the building, they have to move all the way around. I think that's what we talked about during ad hoc where,
Yes, they're doing what they call a counterclockwise movement.
yes,
So they come in, they take a right, which would be the west side of the building,
another building.
and they make their loop around counterclockwise and go back out. So you have all the queuing area.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be the best option of maneuvering trucks to do counterclockwise.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to clarify because I know that was one of my concerns with some trying to turn left and trying to come in and cross over. So I think that's what we had talked about was exclusively counterclockwise, including
Yes.
building 3. So they come in,
Yes.
loop around counterclockwise. So there's only one way in
Yes.
to go this way and completely,
That's how it's planned.
yes. I
Yes.
just wanted to clarify that for my fellow commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go for it.
Just to clarify, John, there is the truck entrance and exiting plan that was shown on this presentation. I did notice that their truck was showing a right turn on Getz Road, just to confirm that it's not supposed to go on Getz Road southbound.
That is correct. There'll be a channelizer installed on Mapes Road restricting that movement to narrowing the lane.
Yeah. Here they show it going southbound, so. And then,
If I can just clarify, I'll have my, John from Urban Crossroads, but it's depicting that a truck cannot that turn. So if he can walk you through, but it's not showing that it can, but how it cannot.
Just give us your full name, sir, and spell your last name for us.
Sure. Good evening, Jose Alire with Urban Crossroads, and I'm a registered traffic engineer in the state of California. And yeah, so that exhibit there, it is depicting the truck making the right turn, but what it's trying to show, and we have it highlighted in red, is it cannot physically make that turn, excuse me. So the intent is to have it go in the left turn lane and turn left to go north on Getz Road, and that can easily be done. We've modeled these trucks. These trucks that we're modeling are the larger trucks. And again, the intent on that right turn is to show you the design that we're proposing is not feasible for these trucks. They will damage their goods, they will be hitting the median island, and truckers don't want to do that because, again, trucks get damaged and they'll have to pay for it in the end, it'll reflect on their record. So they cannot make that turn. I hope that answers your question, and if there's anything else, I'd be happy to answer it.
No, thank you for the clarification. It's just the text in the little box is illegible on our screens.
My apologies for that.
John, one further question. I don't know if we have gotten that far to the water quality management plan and their detention basin. No water from that detention basin is expected to go south into the watershed for the San Jacinto?
The drainage pattern is established, and they're actually implementing or installing chambers to control the drainage as well as treat it prior to discharge
So it's still discharging after filtration going
to the channel.
to the channel, which eventually flows to the San Jacinto River.
Correct. And that is in conjunction with approval with the Riverside County Flood Control District.
Okay. Thank you.
I'd like to get this additional clarification on that, since we're on the topic. Is there any way that, and this is because we've learned from the past experience, is there any way that, or are there going to be signs already in place that say no trucks going in that direction? Do we
For
have any?
signage, absolutely. Signage will always be implemented, but we're concentrating on actual physical constraints. But
Correct.
signage will be applied no matter what.
Is there also an option to have no trucks written on the actual street? Because what I just heard right now is that this is on a scale of the big trucks, the bigger trucks, obviously with a box on them. So considering that, they won't be able to make that turn. However, trucks that do not have cargo or is just the cabin will be able to make that turn. So let's guide them and make it very clear that no trucks, because I have seen it, I believe it's in Riverside. I've seen where you're driving and you see these wide, big, beautiful letters that say no trucks. And so I'd like to see that, especially because there's going to be a lot of traffic.
We can absolutely implement it. There's stencils and markings that we can apply to the roadway as well.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And then under conditions of approval, where did I write it? 52E, when we're talking about graffiti, I didn't see our wording that we usually have where we're gonna cover it in panels and not blocks.
We can go ahead and add that
Just make sure,
clarification,
yes, thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
52.
And
It
just,
does read it in 22, but not 52, yes.
we got it? Okay. Let's see, I'm not sure who would be able to answer this question. Being that we heard earlier that there may be up to 30 trucks at once at these facilities. Is there anything that we can do to limit the practice of idling engines while they wait?
I'm going to defer this to Michael Brown, but there is this condition about idling. But
I'd like to
Michael, do
hear it.
you have that on the top of your?
So there are state and local regulations that limit idling to 5 minutes, a maximum of 5 minutes, and that's also included in the city's Good Neighbor Guidelines as well as from the South Coast AQMD and as well as the state. The other thing to consider, that used to be more of an issue with older diesel engines.
Right.
They had to keep running. It took a while to warm them up, and then they had to keep going. That's not so much the case with the newer engines. Fortunately, that's made a huge difference throughout the state. But like I say, right now, there are the Good Neighbor Guidelines that limit it to that. And because it is easy to stop and restart the engines, it's generally a cost benefit for the drivers to actually stop their engines, as opposed to burning the fuel. So there's that self-interest on their part. As far as doing anything else, maybe on site, it would, putting up signs or something saying, no idling greater than, 5 minutes or whatever you choose to say.
I think that's a great idea. I'm not sure if we have that already, but thank you so much for that. I think that we could really benefit from having that in the conditions of approval. And this can be a learning opportunity to do it from now on, moving on forward to other applications as well, having that in there. And I do appreciate the response because so state of California has a lot of restrictions, a lot more than other states, but not when you have hauling coming in. I'm not sure if this is a spec building or if we already have a tenant proposed. They do have, oh, that's right, do have a tenant. Some of these, they have outside trucks coming in that are not to California standard. They're just coming through. And they are older trucks as well. So this is just information that I'm learning as we're moving on. And so I think that would definitely be useful, especially with such a huge distribution center like this. Thank you.
I have seen some places that have like a little waiting area for the drivers while they're waiting to queue, because it gets to be 120 degrees out here. They're not going to turn off their trucks if it's that hot and marinate inside a little metal box. So I have seen some locations that have like a little waiting area where they wait to get called and then they get told what dock to go to. Because that is the biggest idle, is when it's too hot or too cold. And for health reasons, it's not safe to turn off your vehicle and your AC when it's 120 degrees outside, plus all the heat from inside. But you're right, that is a big concern, is the idling and all the fumes.
I have a question for the architect, and perhaps on the south side and the west side of A Street, can the wall sconces be limited to perhaps 20 feet to kind of mask the lighting that's going to be reflected off the buildings from the distance?
You're talking about
The exterior wall sconces, lights,
above the dock area.
yes.
Or you want to limit that to 20 feet?
Yeah, limit it so it's not as visible from in the evening and nights.
Yeah, I think we could work on that. Obviously, the depth of yard is 185 feet.
Yeah.
So whether we have the pole or being able to make up for lowering that thing, yeah, I think that's doable.
Yeah, mostly on the building. I know the parking lot lights, you still have to reach your 1-foot candle
Yes.
requirements, but on the building itself, I think it perhaps could be limited to kind of conceal it from the evening hours and late night hours from the A Street and south of the buildings as well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, once again, what was that? Limiting the light, or
Limiting the height of the wall sconces on the building.
the lights? The lights themselves?
Yes. The height of the lights.
Oh, height, okay. What else? Oh, it's- Yeah, well, thank you very much. I don't have much to add. I'll reserve it for the comments time. But I thank you, staff. Thank you to the developer, and for the presentation. And if we don't have anything else, any questions for staff at the time, we'll open it up for public comment. And public comment on this agenda item. You're limited to 3 minutes, but anyone is welcome to come to the podium and address the planning commission. We have 2 names that were submitted. And of course, if they'd like to come first, Mr. Al Sanchez. Okay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Al Sanchez, S-A-N-C-H-E-Z. I'm a member of LIUNA, Labor's International Union of Northern America, and we are in support of this project. It will be done with skilled and trained labor. It'll also open the door for our apprentices to work towards becoming journeymen. Each hour work will not only give us fair wages, but towards our pension and our health insurance. Plus, this helps the local economy. It's a win-win for everybody. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, sir. Forgive me if I get the last name wrong, I'll try. Roland Minich or Mirich? Minich, okay, thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak here. My name is Roland Minnick, M-I-N-N-I-C-H. My family has been part of the Paris community for over 60 years. And some of the concerns that we have are some of the pollutants that are going to be generated by this, particularly from, well, there's 3 in particular. Tire dust, which has a chemical called 6-PP-quinone, a toxic chemical that the tire companies use the rubber to adhere to each other. That stuff's going to be deposited on the roads. If you've ever been out there to the site, you'll see that it's kind of in a bowl. A lot of winds there, a lot of dust devils. That stuff can get swirled up. It'll expose the residents, even though it's 1,800 feet away from the development, and it'll expose those residents. That wind will carry those particles to those developments. Also will expose children that go to Railway Elementary School and to Rob Reiner School. Another product that will be generated is a brake dust. It's a metallic carbon. It's a solid needle-like microscopic particle, and it gets in the air and you breathe it in the lungs. And it's very carcinogenic. It's very close to asbestos. And then, of course, there's a diesel exhaust. Diesel exhaust has many toxic chemicals in it: carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, benzene, 1,3-butadiene, sulfuric acid, nitrogen oxides, trace metals, cadmium, and hydrocarbons. And those float too, and those get lifted up as well. I heard that there are going to be probably 386 trips in and out per day. That translates to 11,500 per month, 138,000 per year. All those chemicals will get generated, lifted up, even though they're going to put in walls and trees and stuff like that. If you've been out there, that area is, again, it's like a little bowl. The wind's going to pick that up, the dust devils will pick that up, expose the residents and the students to those chemicals. And I don't think it's a very good idea, especially since this project was approved 13 years ago, and a lot of things have happened in the last 13 years with the addition of residential developments, schools being built there. So I think they really should consider all those things when you vote to approve or reject this plan. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Is anyone else for public comment? Okay, thank you very much. And I'm assuming there's no one else. Okay, thank you very much. We'll close the public comment. Close the public hearing and move to the planning commission. And I'm sure you're going to have comment. Yes, ma'am. Oh, yeah, you're right, you're right. You don't even have to say it. You're absolutely right. You got me. Okay. At this time, I almost blew it. Getting too relaxed here. At this time, we offer the applicant, I say applicant, the opportunity to respond. This is a new thing we're going back to. So to respond to any comments at this time, you're welcome to come forward if you so desire. Okay, thank you very much. Almost got me there. Okay, yeah. He's almost getting up? No. Okay, and we bring it back to, almost. We bring it back to the Planning Commission for discussion, whatever you want to call it, but whoever wants to start.
I wasn't here for the November 1st Planning Commission meeting where this was first presented, but I did review it, I did watch the meeting, and I do want to commend the applicant for addressing all of the issues that the commission had. There's a lot of improvements that were made to it. I think one of the things that I do like about this project is the large setbacks, which allow for that berm that you guys included and the tree screening, the traffic control, where there will be no trucks on A Street away from the elementary school, and the improvements on Golds, Ellis, and Case Road. Those are all great inclusions to this project. With the setback and with the landscaping that was added, I don't think with these renderings that you guys gave us, the project is almost non-visible through the street. So I think that's something that that community in that area is really going to appreciate. Thank you.
Yes, I too am very, I'm pleased to see the changes that have been made, that the applicant listened to the recommendations, and actually I'm very happy that we voted to have this go to ad hoc. I know that sometimes we want these applications to move through, to get them out of here at a certain timeline. However, I'd like to just recommend future developers that the more you listen to the city staff and listen to what they already know we're looking for, will definitely help you with getting your application to the next level, and getting voted on and agreed upon. I do, I'm glad that our planning commissioner, Lopez, brought up the fact that, asked about the Centennial Trail, because that's a very important to the community members. And it's very important to understand that these community projects, we can get money flowing into our city, and we have many parks, and we already have, we're growing in that area in the right direction. It'll never level out the amount of pollution that's coming, that is, unfortunately, that is a part of the growth process. However, it should definitely be assigned and provided back to that community. I'm happy to hear that our community members are here to speak out, and they were here on November 1st as well. And just wanted to point out that, yeah, this was approved back in 2010, and it has been 13 years. I wish we had some kind of policy that after a certain amount of time, if you don't build it, you have to go back to square one. Just because I know it's an investment, but as it was pointed out today, a lot has happened since then, and there's a whole residential development that came up. Does the staff know when the homes got built in that area? The neighborhood? Do we know?
I can guess. I know I worked on the residential triangle just south of this industrial development, so it'd probably be mid-2010, 2010, 2008, somewhere around there. I could just,
Yeah.
but I do want to just put a reference that the reason why it's been able to the original entitlement is still effective today because there was an approved development agreement that extended this approval until 2026.
I see.
So that's the reason. Usually they don't have this long of a time. They would start over, but because the development agreement that was approved by the council some time back, it extended its life. That's why they could start by an amendment to the original document. I just want to give you that context.
I see. So I appreciate that because at least the members, the residents can hear that and understand why. Because even for me, that's new information and that doesn't justify the decision that we may go into. However, it does give context to why these things are happening and moving the way they are. Can you tell me how far the nearest school is?
Across the street.
Rob Reiner?
Diagonal across the property.
How many feet is that? Approximately. I have a reason for the question. Bear with me.
It's catty corner.
Is it a throw? Kenneth is working his magic.
I have no idea.
Does the developer know? Oh, they can't come back up. Anyway, sorry. Never mind.
The school site, the closest building is 500 plus feet, but the school site parking lot is just across the street, but from where the closest building is about 500 plus feet.
You worded that very well, Kenneth. Well, the reason I'm asking that question, and it's because we understand that there are new restrictions that have been placed at the governor's table and for review. And they do have minimum requirements, or they do have minimum requirements. It's, one of them is more than 500 and so what feet away from a sensitive receptor, which is a school. So, you know, I'd like to, I think 300 feet at this point is a good neighbor policy that we have. I am looking forward to that number getting larger as well. So I just wanted to make that comment, but I do appreciate you, Kenneth, going through that and getting me that number. I look forward to these changes and the Bonnie and 215 road improvement. I understand that that's going to take about 18 months of road work to be built out. Does anyone know how long it's going to take to build out these facilities? Just an estimate, because I'm not sure which ones should come first, just because, oh boy, the traffic that's going to be, right? The improvement always has a backlash or a waiting period or some, you know, it's a give and take. Right, right. So I'm just trying to, you know, at this point, I appreciate it. It's probably not important because we have to make a decision today. But I would like to consider in the future how we can limit the impact of the residents when this is a very large scale improvement. It's not one block, right? It's, I believe I heard it was 8 miles. Is that correct? 6 miles. Okay, so that's a lot. And then lights, like 5 lights and all that. So I'd like to consider that in the future, maybe at the next opportunity at an ad hoc meeting, we can also approach that and make sure that there is some kind of a halfway point to be able to alleviate traffic for the residents in the area as well, as much as for the trucks and the bills and which one is going to be opened and used first, et cetera. I think everyone gets the point. With that being said, I do appreciate everyone's hard work on this. Thank you.
Commissioner Gomez, actually, these infrastructure improvements are required prior to issuance of occupancy.
Oh, very well. Thank you. I appreciate that. So it will be done before the building is up and
Operation.
running. Good. Thank you.
I also would like to thank the applicant and staff for working so diligently on this. We hear the community, we live in the community, so we know the conditions with all the particles and all the chemicals and negative things that we bring in. However, being part of the planning commission, I have learned that we only have certain purview to our reach. And when something is zoned a certain way, there's a lot we can do with adding more trees, and I'm really happy that they added trees and they made them bigger. There are things we can do to minimize, but unfortunately, we are not able to change things as much as we would like, which was very hard learning for me being up here, where I was like, okay, now I'm gonna come in and this is what we're gonna do, but within the law, there are only certain things that we are allowed to do, and it really makes me happy to have applicants who really are willing to go above and beyond, and they hear us when we're talking about the community. They hear us when we're talking about these people live here. We live here, we play here. This is where we live our lives. How can we make it as minimally impactful as we can? So not all applicants really worry about that, because they're more worried just about their business. But this applicant in particular has been very, very receptive to that. It also makes me happy that they already have tenants that will potentially be taking over. So we kind of already know what we're working with, and we're not putting something out there and hoping for the best. So they did make a lot of changes. Now we see what it really is going to look like, instead of like lights everywhere for little gophers and little.
You don't have to. My hugest concern, well, there's two of them, and one of them we can't do much at the time about it, but my concern is that, unfortunately, that this was zoned the way it was 20 years ago, 15 years ago. So unfortunately, and this was the south side of Paris, and this is so deep inside the Paris. I also have issues with the ones that are going on the north side, that's going all the way to Redlands and stuff, which is several miles inside of Paris. So it's not just this one, but this one is, goes next to school sites. It goes through some residential communities, just to get there, and it's 6 miles into it, and I definitely have an issue with that. The building itself, it was drastically improved even from the 2010 planning documents, and then even revised for the ad hoc committee meeting. So I even discussed it with them. I thought it was much, much better. So he's done a good job on that. But my issue again is truck traffic that's going to be into these neighborhoods, next to the apartment complexes, going all that far. And my concern is, yes, we're looking to make sure that they drive northbound on Getz Road. However, they're going to go southbound. And my other issue is anybody driving on Ethnac Road, you're trying to make a shortcut, it will happen to go northbound. So that's a concern of mine as well. So that's all I got.
Yes, and I'm one of the few that can say I was here in 2010. So I probably know more about anyone here. 2010 was totally different Paris, different city council, and I won't go there. But a lot of things were different. And I was not a champion of this in this area. But again, you have issues that this was a large-scale property at the time, just a different planning commission. We're much more aggressive now. But I will say that there was some basic concerns in one, and I won't keep this long, I promise. One of the basic concerns was obviously the problem. Across the street is not the problem north. I don't think anybody realistically can have any problems with north as much as the schools and on the other side. So the intersection of Mapes and A Street is one of those intersections that's been really, it's tattered. It's pretty bad because you have a railroad crossing, which absolutely no reason for that. Other than Southern California, we're just going down south for some reason. But that intersection is a problem because you also have to understand that that's why concern is on Mapes Road, because parents have to turn and go to those schools in the Rob Bryant. So they're always going to come from the east going west. It's not going to stop. They're going to go north, they're going to go east, west, and they're going to have to bypass trucks. That's a major concern. Not saying that the project, anything wrong with the project. I'm just saying that was why we are so critical and so questioning about what's going to happen on Mapes Road. I will say about this developer spent a lot of revenue, a lot of money, making a lot of different things along Case Road. Case Road is essential to this project. And I've said to the engineer many times, it's not going to happen unless Case Road is widened. How that's going to be done with the railway on one side and on the other side, EMWD, good luck. But that is essential to this project. That little intersection when you come off, so we know the city inside out, so we can talk. When you come off that freeway and that intersection right there with the Metrolink, that's another discussion, that Metrolink intersection, you're turning left to go to Home Depot and those areas, and that little intersection is a problem. So that all has to be done. So I appreciate the willingness of the developer to spend an astronomical amount of money to make those changes, because otherwise none of these projects are going to work. But going back to that, and I'm going to bring up an issue that's not part of this, but it's a kind of a side issue. I'm not going to get into it, but Ethernet can have trucks. And I'm not going to go much farther than that because of some issues that are coming up. So since Ethernet can use trucks, we want to make sure that trucks can't come up Getz Road, and it's going to have to be signage and other things, and turn left there. Short of having one of us sit there 24 hours a day, which is not possible, that's going to have to be some signage to prevent that group from coming up there, because let's talk about the nature of people. We can say they go one way and they're going to do the exact opposite. So we see trucks. I see trucks as I'm retired, so I see a lot more than they do, doing all kinds of things. And I'm going D Street, C Street, what are they doing on it? Because it's a fast route. So we're going to have to, at the very least, we could need some signage along that. But that's a side issue to this, but that's to prevent them from coming up from that direction and going left into Mapes Road. So that's a concern only in the sense that I don't know how you stop it. But in essence, the building, I really want to appreciate the ad hoc committee because the need for 20%, which I like the more, but I'm not greedy. The landscaping is absolutely beautiful. I think maintaining that landscaping, the fact that you want, especially to the south, it's got to protect the view. And we can control the aesthetics. We can control how it looks. We can control we can at least control those things. We can't control the zoning. It was done in a general plan way back in 2005, and I was there too. But that's one of those issues that came up, and it's hard to change general plans, guys. Very difficult. Because sometimes it's 30 years, and I ain't gonna be around 30 years. But the point is, at that time, there was a significant amount of things going on. I don't know why this was zoned that way, but it was. So in living with that, we can control certain things. The queuing may not be an issue, but we always want to make sure that's touched upon. We want to make sure that people are going, the crossing between residents, going to the schools and all that is going to be an issue as long as you make sure the left turns and those kind of things and the signs and posters are not trying to go up A Street. We won't have a problem. But I don't know how, without signage and like we do on Ramona, which is pretty good today too, incidentally, without that signage and some kind of enforcement, it can get out of hand. So we're just kind of getting ahead of the game here. Whether it happens or not, we as a commission always want to be forward in thinking. And so even if we can't stop it, we can start making sure we think about those restrictions and things so we don't mess projects like this up in the future. To the west, whatever they do, when they come, that's fine. Whatever they plan to do, but that's going to also be impacted by this. Whoever's in that vicinity is going to be impacted. But suffice to say, I think there's some addendums that have been made tonight. I think the developer has worked pretty extensively throughout the city, not just this project, but a lot of city projects. Trust me, their names on a lot of things. And all I can say is, I think all the questions have been answered. The ad hoc committee was very detailed. We're a very detailed commission. I don't know too many that are as detailed as this one. I don't know of any that are this scrutinizing as Polaris. Okay, name me one, come up and name me one. I have never seen one, and I watch them on TV. I've never seen one this detailed. But they ask a few questions, they move on, vote on it. Not here. So we care about our community. It's never going to happen. So, and as she said, one of the good things to do is just watch the YouTube or watch, and you pretty much know where we're going with questions. So it's always shocking to me when they say, you want more of this? Every single meeting is almost the same thing. Landscaping, aesthetics, truck queuing. So just a forewarning for future ones. I will stop with that. And pretty much, as I've said, unless you guys have something to add, I think I've pretty much talked out. And we may take a break after this. Okay. We move on to read this. I think I'll read it off of this. Public hearing 6A, I'm still calling it 6A. Major modification 22-05265 of Development Plan Review 0804006. Tentative parcel map 23-05248, TPM 38518. And EIR addendum 23-05252. Sorry, a proposal to modify DPR 0804006. Previously approved Paris Logistics Center South, Site 2 project on approximately 195 net acres as follows. Reduce the total number of warehouse distribution buildings from 4 buildings to 3 buildings. And 2, reduce the overall square footage of the buildings from 3,448,734 square feet to 3,345,217 square feet. As well, previously approved TPM 35886 is proposed to be modified to reduce the number of parcels from 6 to 3 parcels, and a letter lot A for open space. Project site is located on the southwest corner of Mapes Road and Getz Road in the general industrial zone. Requested action, adopt resolution number 23-32, recommending to the City Council adoption of addendum 23-05252 to the previously certified final environmental impact report, SCH number 200807160, for South Paris Industrial Project, and approval of major modification 22-05265 to modify development plan review 08-04-0006 and tentative parcel map 23-05248, TPM 38518. To modify tentative parcel map 35886 for the construction of 3 industrial buildings totaling 3,345,217 square feet on 3 separate parcels. Based on the findings and subject to conditions of approval, and we had some, at least 3, and I don't know all the details. One was signs that was talking about no idling signs that would be placed in the interior of the property. So no idling signs would be one of those considerations. To help me with building limit height of the lights on the south end, okay, south and west end of the site. And I hope you guys got that one. Yeah, you got the height, right?
Right, so limiting the wall sconces to 20 feet in height.
20 feet, okay.
And also adding a condition for no idling longer than 5 minutes in compliance with the state requirements and the Good Neighbor guidelines.
Right.
And also
Graffiti.
adding no truck signs. Where? And pavement markings where applicable,
And
or as determined by the engineer.
Oh, okay. And also, item number 52, addition of approval E, concerning graffiti, and you can probably expound on that one a little bit.
Yeah, that should add to condition number 22 to make sure that it's repainted by panelists, not,
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
I'd like to ask, can we add a condition of approval for the partnership with the Parks and Rec Department regarding the San Jacinto Trail?
Sure, we can put a reference to that.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay, I hope you guys got it, because don't ask me to repeat it. Okay. And with that, we move to a motion. I can't even tell. Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Jimenez.
To clarify, that is to approve,
To
correct?
approve, yes. Like I always say, we'll let you know if it's, yeah. Oh, yeah. And look for a second. Seconded by Commissioner Gomez.
Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
Commissioner Jimenez,
Yes?
Commissioner Gomez,
Yes.
Shay Shively,
Yes.
Chair Hammond.
Yes.
With a vote of 5-0, this motion is approved.
Thank you very much. And thank you, gentlemen. Are we okay? We need a, we okay? Okay. You want a break? 5 minutes? Okay, we're unanimous. It's about a 5-minute bathroom break. Make sure. Not 20. All right. This, this might as well just say. If, well,
Hey, my name's Mario.
No, no.
should we now? Okay, let's everybody come back together. We're almost ready to get back. Who called me? Oh, oh. Good evening. We are reconvening at 7:50 p.m. City of Paris Planning Commission. We're moving on to, I'm still calling it item 6B. Intention to abate a public nuisance in the city of Paris located at 346 Tortoise Place, APN 311-430-037, continued from the November 15, 2023 meeting. This intention to abate is to demand that Jeremy Unger, property owner, abate and/or remedy a public nuisance-related property maintenance under the City of Paris Municipal Code 7.06.030 5A and 5B and PMC 7.04.020. Requested action, adopt resolution number 23-36, making findings and a determination of a public nuisance, ordering the property owner to abate the nuisance, and authorizing the city to commence abatement of such nuisance if the property owner does not timely do so. Is there any ex parte communication, site visits, or anything else you'd like to mention?
Not for me.
Okay.
None for me.
Yes, I've been by the site more than once. Okay, thank you. And with that, we move to the city.
Good evening, Chairman and members of the Planning Commission. My name is Robert Trejo, and I'm your City of Paris Code Enforcement Manager. The item before you is, as you mentioned, Chairman, the intention to abate public nuisance in the City of Paris located at 346 Curtis Place. This item was continued from the November 15th, 2023 meeting. I'll give you some brief background on this property. Again, the DPN is 311-430-37. The location is 346 Tortoise Place. In front of you, you have an aerial elevation of the property. The property falls under the zoning R6000 rather, which meets the residential general requirements. Initially, on June 4th, 2021, the code enforcement staff conducted an investigation of the property after receiving an anonymous complaint regarding trash debris on the front yard, along with inoperative vehicles throughout the front of the property. An initial notice of violation was issued on November 11th, 2021, due to no change in the status of the property. A notice of violation, like I mentioned, was issued to abate all violations, which involved or included rather, property maintenance violations in violation of the Paris Municipal Code, Chapter 7, which again falls under the property maintenance ordinance or regulations. Open storage or scattered materials, including debris, rubbish, trash, and trash receptacles that are visible from the public right-of-way. Other PMCs, Paris Municipal Code that violates this case is an open storage or scattered materials, including abandoned and discarded, broken, wrecked, or inoperative household furnishing, appliances, machines, tools, and similar objects and equipments. The accumulation of storage and dismantle abandoned or inoperative vehicles as well are in existence in this property. Staff conducted a follow-up inspection on January 10th of 2022, which revealed no change of the status of the violation. The first administrative citation for the amount of $100 was issued by the enforcing officer. The following slide depicts the front elevation of the house. A follow-up inspection was conducted on February 11th, 2022, which revealed no change in the condition of the property. A second administrative citation was then issued for failure to comply. A follow-up inspection was conducted again on March 8th of 2022, revealing some improvement on the front yard. However, the unpermitted, at that time, the enforcing officer noticed that an unpermitted fence had been erected in front of the house. On June 9th of 2022, the staff conducted a follow-up inspection again, which revealed trash debris remained on site. The fence, however, at that time had been reduced to 32 inches. A third and final administrative citation was then issued for the remaining violations. The case was referred to the City Attorney's Office on August 2nd, 2022, for further enforcement. Staff, as a result of the referral to the City Attorney's Office, conducted a follow-up inspection on September 21st of 2022, which revealed some improvements, such as the removal of the wooden fence. However, trash and debris remained on the front yard. And at this time, also staff noticed an inoperative vehicle parked blocking the right-of-way. Staff returned to the property on February 4th as a result of an animal control call received by the Sheriff's Department and neighbors also reaching out to our office regarding the storage of a horse skeleton or carcass in the driveway. Upon reinspection of the property, we were able to confirm that indeed the property owner was storing this skeleton of a horse. And he was advised to immediately remove it, or staff was going to seize the carcass and properly disposed of it. The property owner did comply. It was voluntarily removed. However, staff observed all the other violations still remain at that time. Follow-up inspection was conducted again per the city attorney's request on August 1st, now in 2023. Staff conducted this follow-up inspection, which revealed the trash and debris, and now a second inoperative vehicle remained parked in the driveway. Again, on September 9th of 2023, per the city attorney's request, staff conducted a follow-up inspection which revealed all violations remained. The case was prepared for a nuisance abatement process. Photos from October 25th, 2023 shows that the condition of the property continues to remain the same, if not getting worse by this time. And we continue to receive public calls regarding the additional violations. Staff again conducted a follow-up inspection on November 13th of 2023, which, to our surprise, it revealed significant progress in the condition of the property. And we were hoping for the best, that after all these attempts, the property owner was was ready to cooperate and abate the violations. And that's the reason why staff requested that this matter was continued to allow additional time for the property owner to rectify the violations. However, staff conducted a follow-up inspection to verify that indeed the violations were removed on November 27th of this year. And we observed that all the violations they were not abated, but indeed, on the contrary, there were additional violations added to the conditions of the property. As a result of these numerous attempts, staff, as recent as yesterday, or rather this morning, we also drove by the house and observed that all the violations is still remaining, with the addition of several items, discarded furniture, and vehicles that keep coming in and out of the property. At this point, staff is recommending for the Planning Commission to make determination of a public nuisance and authorize the city to commence abatement of such nuisance. This concludes my presentation, and I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm not going to say applicant, but is the property owner or any representative of the property owner available or would like to come to the podium at this time? Okay. Do we have any questions for staff at this time?
Thank you for that presentation. My first question is just for clarification. This issue's not with the renter, right? It's with the actual property owner.
That's correct, Commissioner. This is the property owner.
Okay. And if we do determine this as a public nuisance, what happens next? Will city staff have to go in there and clean it themselves, or because like warnings are not doing anything? So what's going to happen moving forward?
That's correct. Staff will, under the authority of the city attorney's office, will contract with cleaning crews and a contractor so we can go in there and conduct the cleanup ourselves.
Would that be paid for by the state or the city or the property owner?
I'll defer to our legal counsel for that. Thank you.
Hi, Commissioner. So the resolution would allow, and so does your ordinance and your code, for a lien to be placed on the property to recover costs. in that manner. There are alternative methods to have this cleaned up if one doesn't work, such as a receivership, if the property is bad enough, which is another way that you can recover costs. But typically, this resolution that you'd be adopting would allow for recovery of costs through a lien on the property.
Got you. Thank you so much.
Questions?
When we go out and do these, I know that there's a team. Is anybody on the team a mental health specialist or a referral system for mental health services?
Yes, Commissioner, we do have the services of our CityNet team, which they're specializing in mental health and any other issues that they can assist these type of homeowners and individuals.
Do you know if it's just like service while, let's say, the cleanup is taking place, or is it referrals for additional services, connection to that?
Absolutely, based on the criteria that they fall into, our CityNet team can refer them to additional services for further assistance.
Do you know if that's happened so far?
Yes, we did provide the option, and the property owner did have a discussion, and the options were presented, however, they were refused.
They usually are.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's about all we can do, but they have been offered. Do you know if they'll continue to be offered after? So let's say we do declare this a nuisance, it's cleaned up, we see that it begins to happen. Will they continue to be offered, or will it just be visits by code enforcement and saying you need to fix this, or?
We can definitely arrange follow-up visits from our team, and including our law enforcement professionals as well. So we can try to provide and motivate the property owner to seek assistance in the future. Yes, ma'am.
I do have a follow-up on that. Will the CityNet be there while the abatement is being taken done?
Yes, Commissioner. Yes, usually what we do, we not only seek the services of law enforcement just for our staff's safety, but we also have the services of CityNet as well, just in case the property owner happens to take the offer of seeking services.
And if it happens again, does that, may be a question for our city attorney, but does that lien continue to grow if this continues to happen and the city continues to have to go in and clean up?
So at that point, it would likely be like a new, if it gets abated, then that's the issue has at that point been abated, and the process would be renewed for that new problem that's been created. And I will also to clarify, per code and per your resolution, the city would still be seeking like a court order to actually enter the property, depending on what they're trying to access.
So that, we still have to wait for that process?
Correct.
After this has been decided on?
Correct, yeah, an inspection warrant.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I don't have any questions. I think I pretty much laid it out. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I do have one more question before we close. I'm sorry. Do you see this as a common issue in our city? Because I've never seen one of these before, but it's just curious, since we're here, how big of an issue this is with our city.
Fortunately for our city, it probably falls within the 3 to 5% of our cases, and we handle over 1,000 cases on a yearly basis. I want to say that maybe out of 1,000 cases, one to five will fall under this category.
Okay, so that's saying that there is an issue, but it's not a problem.
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
I did have one more. When we're going to these, I'm wondering how much research we do on the owners and the person that is having these issues. I don't know if they're connected to like a Veterans Affair or they're connected to other service providers where we can get additional supports for them. Are we doing that kind of work behind the scenes to make sure the person is supported?
Yes, Commissioner. So that's part of what our CityNet team investigation and research falls under as well. They look at different components and different organizations that the individuals can be assisted from. Absolutely.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
we'll let you off the hook, thanks.
Thank you.
At this time, we open it up for public comment. Anyone who would like to comment on this item is welcome to come to the rostrum and on this item, agenda item only. Okay. Okay. Seeing no public comment, we close public comment and public hearing and bring it to the commissioners for any discussion, if there is any. Oh. All I can say is the thoroughness of the code enforcement, I appreciate. I was a contract administrator in LA, I can tell you have to be detailed. But the only thing is always about compassion. You always want to get that person to move to the point, but it's very difficult, but you have to go point by point, and I've had to do that, especially the city of LA is a lot larger, I'm here to tell you. But you've got to be very detailed. If you ever talked about being a detective, this would be a detective. You know, every single thing has to be done because you always want to do it, not so much to protect the city, but also to understand that if we're going to do something, let's do it right and by code and by law. So I appreciate the thoroughness of this, and having seen it myself too. I was hoping there might be some, but I went out today as well. I mean, really, literally almost 2 hours before this meeting, and it was sad. And there's also a school bus sitting down the street, and if I'm thinking if city kids are walking down the street and have to go in the street, that was scary. Okay? And they were not happy in the school bus. Okay. But anyway, that's it for me. And so if we have a motion, I'm going to read it. Requested action, adopt resolution number 23-36, making findings and a determination of a public nuisance, ordering the property owner to abate the nuisance and authorizing the city to commence abatement of such nuisance if the property owner does not timely do so. Moved by Vice Chair Shively, seconded by Commissioner Lopez.
Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
Commissioner Jimenez,
Yes.
Commissioner Gomez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Shively,
Yes.
Chair Hammond.
Yes.
With a vote of 5 yes, 0 no's, this motion is approved.
Thank you very much. Okay. We move on to scoping meeting, item 6D. We're getting there, guys. Item 6D, scoping meeting for an environmental impact report associated with tentative parcel map 22-05389, TPM 38588, and development plan review 22-00039. A proposal to consider the following entitlements to facilitate the construction of 2 industrial buildings totaling 352,177 square feet. Number 1, that's what I get for drinking soda. Number 1, tentative parcel map to consolidate 7 parcels into 2 parcels totaling 16.18 acres. And 2, development plan review of the industrial development site plan and building elevations. The 16.18 acre project site is located west of Getz Road between Mountain Avenue and Malbridge Street in the general industrial zone. Requested action conducts a public scoping meeting to review, discuss, and provide comments on the potential environmental impacts associated with the project. As always, is there any ex parte communication, site visits? I don't want to say drive-bys, but site visits, bad term.
Yeah, drive by for me.
You wouldn't say it's drive-by. Okay.
None for me.
I know the site pretty well. Okay. Now it's your turn. Thanks a lot, City.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening. My name is Mario Ariano, contract planner for the City of Paris. Mr. Chairman, commissioners, and members of the audience, tonight's item is for the new Waypoint Commerce Project EIR scoping session. The purpose of tonight's session is to provide information for the proposed One Point Commerce project to allow the Plan Commission, interested persons, organizations, agencies, and the opportunity to comment on the preliminary assessment of the environmental issues that will need to be addressed in the project-specific environmental impact report. No action is required at this time for the proposed project. Also, tonight's presentation will be a two-part component where I will present the project itself and the environmental consultant, Ms. Nicole Morse, will present the CEQA component of the project. Here is an aerial view of the site. It is located west of Getz Road between Mountain Avenue and Melbourne Street with the within the general industrial zone, which will consist of 7 underlying parcels totaling 16.18 acres. For added reference, it is located within a mile west of the Paris Valley Airport. This image is a street view from Melbourne Street from the north side property line looking south. This image is from Mountain Street from the south side property line looking north. As mentioned earlier, the general plan and zoning for this property is identified as general industrial, so there was no need for a general plan amendment or zone change associated with the project. The site is surrounded by other general industrial land use designations and zones. There are single-family and multifamily residential zones to the west that is separated by the railroad tracks. The project will be consistent with the industrial uses surrounding the project site. The industrial uses are permitted subject to an approval of a development plan review. As mentioned, it will go before the Plan Commission in the future. The project site is located within Zone D with respect to the Paris Valley Airport land use map, which allows for low noise impacts. With respect to the ALUC compatibility map, the project site is located within Zone E for airport environs zone, which is also subject to low noise impacts, which allows for for industrial uses to go there. Here is the site plan of the proposed project. Staff is currently working with the applicant on the proposed site plan. Again, staff will be taking this site plan, floor plan, and elevations before the Plan Commission for review in the future. The project site is currently on it sits on 7 existing parcels that total 16.18 acres, which will be subdivided into 2 parcels. Parcel 1, which is located to the right, will be subdivided into 9.2 acres and will have a building size of 200,000 square feet with 25 dock doors, 40 trailer parking spaces, 79 parking spaces, which will include 17 EV charging stations, and 16.2% landscaping. The parcel 2, which is located to the left, will be subdivided into 6.98 acres and will have a building size of 152,177 square feet with 18 dock doors, 1 trailer parking space, and 108 parking spaces, which will also include 25 EV charging stations, and will have 15.6% landscaping. All trailer and loading dock areas will be screened with a 14-foot high wall with a 6-foot berm, only expose an 8-foot decorative wall from the public right-of-way and surrounding properties. As shown on the screen, fire access will be accessible from all entrances. Auto access will be accessible from Melbourne and Mountain Avenue along the driveway entrances located in the middle of the project site. Truck access will only be allowed on Mountain Avenue, which are the outer east and west driveways. No truck access will be allowed on Melbourne Street. These images are the proposed elevations for Building 1. The architecture is modern industrial architecture. The walls will be recessed to break the solid wall look with the installation of windows throughout the entire building. The overall height for the building will be 47 feet. These are images for the proposed building elevations for Building 2. Building 2 will have the same architectural features and style and elements as Building 1. And the overall height for Building 2 will be 42.5 feet. This concludes my presentation. I will now introduce Ms. Nicole Morse with TMB Planning Consultants, which will present the CEQA portion of the project.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, Chair Hammond and Commissioners. My name is Nicole Morse with TMB Planning, and our firm is preparing the environmental impact report for this project. So I'm going to go over the purpose of the California Environment and Quality Act, the purpose of tonight's scoping meeting, which I think Mario already alluded to, and the environmental impacts that we'll be addressing in the upcoming environmental impact report. I know you've been through this drill a few times recently, so I will get right into it. The purpose of CEQA is to inform the public and the decision makers of environmental impacts of a project, and when there are any significant impacts identified, to make sure to propose mitigation measures and alternatives to reduce those impacts to less than significant. If there are all feasible mitigation measures have been incorporated and an impact cannot be mitigated to less than significant, then a project would need a statement of overriding considerations in order to be approved, which weighs the benefit of the project versus the environmental impact. So the purpose of tonight's scoping meeting is to give an overview of the project, solicit comments on any environmental issues, suggested mitigation measures or alternatives, and then to refine the scope and content of the upcoming EIR. The purpose, again, of the EIR is to identify the project's environmental impacts, identify ways to reduce those impacts through mitigation measures and/or alternatives, foster interagency coordination, so the EIR will go out to agencies such as Caltrans, AQMD in the surrounding cities, and then provide a comprehensive environmental document to inform decision makers during the decision-making process. In this case, we'll be evaluating all 20 of the environmental topics required under CEQA. I'm not going to list them here, but definitely we'll be including the ones that come up often with warehouse projects, so air quality, health risk, noise, greenhouse gas emissions, and traffic. And then from a construction standpoint, just from physical disturbance of the land, we'll be looking at biological and cultural impacts, as well as, drainage and water quality. But all 20 environmental topics will be addressed. And the vast majority of those topics will be supported by technical reports. So we've got a minimum of 13 reports that need to be prepared: air quality, health risk, biological resources, cultural resources, energy, geotechnical feasibility, greenhouse gas emissions, a phase 1 environmental site assessment, which covers any potential hazards on the site, drainage, a water quality management plan, noise, and a traffic and VMT report, vehicle miles traveled report. So the project applicants submitted their initial application approximately last year. We are now at the scoping meeting stage. We released a notice of preparation that an EIR would be prepared on November 17th. We're in the middle of the 30-day public review process. So the 30-day public comment period will end on December 18th. We're accepting comments through December 18th, and then here tonight, those comments will be presented as an appendix to the draft EIR, and we will consider all of the environmental topics when we narrow the scope and address those comments in the actual draft EIR when it comes out. We anticipate that we will continue to prepare the technical reports and the draft DIR, and then once it is thoroughly reviewed through city staff, it's expected to go out for public review around spring of next year, and that goes out for a 45-day public review period. All comments received have to be responded to in writing. So at the end of that public review period, we'll prepare a final EIR that includes the comments on the draft EIR, our responses, and then any changes to the draft EIR that need to be made as a result of those comments. We're also required to submit the final EIR 10 days prior to a decision on the project, but as the city's processes, you'll get it before Planning Commission and City Council. And then Planning Commission and City Council hearings are expected sometime in summer. And all comments can be provided to the address and email on the screen, Mario Arellano, and by letter or email. And that concludes my presentation. I'm here to answer any questions on the process. And also, we're taking notes to make sure that we're covering everything in the upcoming EIR. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And at this time, is the applicant here? Is the applicant here and would like to make a... Thank you. And you can state your full name and spell your last name for us. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Vicky Valenzuela. Last name is spelled V as in Victor, Alenzeuela. Pleased to be here this evening. We really appreciate your time. We know that it's been a long evening already, and we're very excited to get your comments. My experience with this planning commission is you're all just very thoughtful with the comments that you make, the concerns that you express, and I want you to know that we are listening and again, appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you very much. And are there any questions for staff or questions for the applicant? Remember, this is a scoping meeting, so we don't want to get into the trees and
I did want to ask if we would consider, I know we'll consider the alternate options, but I was thinking even considering the alternate option of like flipping the buildings so that the truck corridor is right in the middle, because there are houses across the street on the west and a middle school. So maybe even just like flipping the building so that the transport corridor is in the middle. One may have to be reduced because of that pocket on the right, but looking at those alternatives and the impact on sound and all those things, I know we have a limit of the distance, but can we request we move that even further and go into the middle school just for noise levels as is and flipped?
and that would be one
Yes,
of the...
add that to the, yes.
That would probably be what, circulation? No.
Circulation. I would like to ask,
And air quality.
also include in there the, include the study of the residential community on the western side in relation to the aesthetics and environmental pollutants and stuff that will be affected along the trucks on that side.
Okay.
I would also like to add how the proposed project would affect airflow and if that would affect the airport to the east of the project.
Just to add for clarification, I know that's been mentioned, but just to add, I'm not sure if it's been worded already this way, but just to add the traffic impact associated with the school traffic and hours of operation of the school, or schools, I think there's two. Especially with pedestrian versus trucks.
Okay.
Does this include do we look, and we're looking at this, the boundaries for the schools, because I don't know what the boundaries are for that middle school, and kind of the traffic flow. I like to add on that. Can we also look at the school boundaries? Because if we have, the boundaries are way on this side and we're having to transport students from like way this corner to here, then that's more traffic, because that would also impact traffic flow. Yes. The school's right
Oh, the,
Commissioner Jimenez, I want to make a note that there is no through traffic across with the railroad track. So there, in this particular case, it wouldn't conflict with the school traffic because that railroad separates any ability to get to that site. They would have to go all the way down to I believe Mapes Road.
Yeah.
Which is the project that was previously recommended for approval, which is, I think, a couple thousand feet south.
So we do look at that, right? The overall impact, if we add this and we add that, like that one that just got approved, and then we add this on the cumulative impact of the traffic.
It would be included in the cumulative traffic analysis.
Can we still look at the school boundaries, because we have homes to the south, and I just wanna-
Yes, we can do the comparison. I think it might be just like, I'm just thinking out loud here, just probably air quality impact potential just would be in the distance away. We can do that type of analysis.
Yeah, and then that, the cumulative impact on Mapes, then, because we just approved one. If then we add this one and there's traffic coming through, so just a cumulative impact of the cross streets that would be used the most.
Commissioner Menace, if I may, just for further clarification, are you thinking sort of like hazard types of issues? That's what I was getting. I just want to confirm. Thanks.
okay, I'm gonna make this real brief. I think it's been covered, fellow commissioners. Number one, these are things to look at too. Obviously, there are homes are on the other side, but sensitive receptors. Because it's trucks, and obviously that area is not really impacting on that side because it's kind of industrial all over there. But sensitive receptors on the other side, because you're talking airflow, so they're getting down to noise, not just the air pollution, but noise. And maybe, even if it's just minuscule, going and doing sensitive receptors in those homes that are across to see if that noise level, we already know about the railroad track, it's usually the Southern California Railroad Museum is the main thing that's there. The other thing, obviously, alternatives, because I'm a secret trained person, so I know alternatives you have to do. Lessening the size of the building and what impact that would have as opposed to this side. So if it's 352,000, if it was down to 300, what would be the alternative? And that would get down to your VMTs and all the other things. So you have to do that anyway. So I was just saying, if a reduction in size is easy, we're not saying put up a malt shop. We're just saying if there was a reduction in size of buildings, would that's their impact, or really, that's kind of up to the city to determine. The other thing is non-refrigerated or refrigerated. So if you're going to have refrigerated, that's going to be another issue versus non-refrigerated. So the type of trucks you have, all that other stuff, that just happens when you be on this thing for long. You start knowing this stuff. That is just one of the other concerns, along with what they've brought up. The traffic and all that, it's going to be like the one down south. Getz Road becomes, the main thoroughfare. The only thoroughfare is Getz Road, because you can't come in from the train tracks. So you're going to come in from Getz Road, and then you talk about going back out to Case. You talk going all the other way that the previous project talked about. So, the number of truck traffic and all that's going to be important, because that's going to impact Getz Road. So we have to look at this VMT in cumulative effect in addition to the other ones. This adds to it. It may seem insignificant, but it's still 300,000 square feet. So that's going to add to Getz Road. And that's going to add to that traffic goes Case. So that makes Case significant, again, in Case. So that becomes important for that reason. And I think those are the three issues. And the other stuff is covered, so I don't really have much more than that. But I think you've got all these areas covered, and I think we're just putting our concerns in. When we get to the project itself, then we'll just eat you up then. But it can make life miserable then, but right now it's just a scoping meeting, so I don't have anything else. I think you've pretty much covered. Okay? Okay. And we don't have a vote, so thank you very much. Okay. We don't have a vote. Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, Chair Hammond, can I verify, did you call for public comment?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I was surprised, but no. Yeah, if I didn't, I would call for it again. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, staff. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. Item 6E, conditional use permit 22-05284. A proposal to construct a 27,132 square foot church building on a 3.72 acre lot located at 251 North Paris Boulevard on the east side of Paris Boulevard between San Jacinto Avenue and the I-215 freeway within the Civic Center zone of the Paris Downtown Specific Plan. Requested action, adopt resolution number 23-37, finding the project is categorically exempt from California Environmental Quality Act review pursuant to Section 15332, infill development projects, and approving CUP, or CUP, 22-05284, based on the findings and subject to conditions of approval. Is there any ex parte communication? Is there any site visits? And I'm not going to say drive-by. The site visits or ex parte communication on this project.
No drive-by, but familiar with the site.
I've driven by
he
the
just
site
likes
several
doing it.
times.
Driven by the site very
Thank
frequently.
Yeah, several times. I mean, almost every week I drive by this site. So it's not, okay.
Yeah, for me as well.
It's all yours.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, members of the Planning Commission. Thank you for that introduction. My name is Alfredo Garcia. I'm your associate planner. And as mentioned this evening, we have before you La Vida Church Conditional Use Permit 22-05284. The project site is located within the Paris Downtown Specific Plan. The surrounding land uses are the 215 freeway to the north and to the east of the subject site. To the west, we have Foss Fields and our beloved City Hall. And to the house, we have the existing Riverside County Sheriff's Department. As far as the downtown specific plan, as mentioned, it is located within that specific plan with a civic center zone designation, also surrounded with other civic zone designations to the south and to the west, and again, bordered by the 215 freeway. Here we have before you a street view northwest, looking at the subject site along North Paris Boulevard. Another site photo, and this is an internal panoramic photo looking north at the subject site. And this is another internal view looking west at the subject site. Here we have the site plan of the subject site. To enter the site is through the southerly driveway, the only driveway approach actually, through a right-in and a right-out access. There is an existing 6,075 square foot building used for teen services and worship services. Also, there is an existing 5,018 square foot building for about 4 or 5 members of staff that the church has, and a proposed 27,132 square foot church building. As part of the project, 208 vehicle stalls are being proposed throughout the site. As part of those 208 vehicle stalls, 14 of them will be EV charging stations, and 9 of them will be handicap spaces per the CBC code. In addition, a new trash enclosure will also be proposed for the church. And as part of the specific plan, there is no minimum for landscaping requirements, but we associate the church as a commercial use, which is the most likely use, so we asked for at least 10%. So the church was gracious enough to provide us a 10% or 18,000 square feet of drought-tolerant landscaping. And now that we're on the subject of landscaping, here we have the landscape plan before you with some of the drought-tolerant landscape pallets that is being provided for the project. With respect to the Paris downtown development standards, they're all consistent and meet the code. And with respect to the downtown specific plan and the parking standards of a municipal code, they are consistent. Here we have before you the rendering of the church. I believe Ms. Arvizu has a material board. Oh, it's already being passed around. Okay. As you can see, the architecture of the building is modern. There is articulation on all four sides of the building. There is also symmetry that's provided with the heavy use of stone veneer and horizontal siding that adds overall interest to the structure. Here we have 2D elevations of the south and the north elevations of the structure. The south elevations, which is the top elevation that you see before you in the slide, will basically be the view from the Paris station, police station, just for added reference. For these two elevations, the top one, which is the west elevations, will be the view from Paris Boulevard, and the east elevation, which is the bottom elevation, will be the view from the 215 freeway. Again, symmetry and full articulation on all four sides. With respect to CEQA, the project is categorically exempt pursuant to Section 15332 as an infill development project. And with that said, staff's recommendation this evening is for the Planning Commission to adopt Resolution Number 2337, categorically exempting CUP 2305284 as under the California Environmental Quality Act under Section 15332 as an infill development project, and approving CUP 023-05284 based on the findings and subject to the conditions of approval. And that concludes my presentation, and I'm available for any questions that the Planning Commission may have. We also have this evening Pastor Munoz and their administrative director, Mr. Joel Munoz, and the architect of the project from Dave Madden Architects this evening to provide further information that the commission may need. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. And if the applicant, in our usual means, just come right up before we ask questions to the city. If the applicant would like to come and make any presentation or say anything what you would like to say. And just state your full name for us and spell your last name just for the record.
Thank you. My name is Javier Munoz, Javier Munoz, my last name. And Vida Christian Church is not La Vida, it's Vida Christian Church. It's probably some little error right there, but not big deal. We be here in Paris for the last 33 years. So we grow with the city, and this project is our dream for the last 10, 11 years. And we're not ready in that time, but I think now we're not ready yet. We're using a little faith in here, but we're doing okay. And I'll bring my project manager. If you guys have any question, well, we're here to answer any question. Even if you have any question for the architect, the cosmetic thing or anything you want me to change, you want to see something else, well, we open up to do whatever we need to do to get it done. So thank you very much. We really appreciate your time, okay?
Thank you very much. And if whoever would like to come up from your staff? Or?
Angelo, Joe, please.
We're not that bad, so we won't.
You guys not bad?
No.
You guys make me nervous. I speak I speak in the front of 1,000 people, a couple, 3,000 people, and now I'm feeling like, wow. Now this project has been our dream, part of the city of Perris and part of our church, and we love our city. We really love, and we've been here for many years, and the church is most Spanish speaking, and you know the people in Perris, that half of the people in Perris is Spanish speaking. So I think this church is going to be a big blessing for the city. So thank you for considering us, okay? Joyce, my son, he helped me already. Soon he's going to take over.
Yeah, my name is Joel Munoz, M-U-N-O-Z. Yeah, I'm the English pastor there, and I'm kind of carrying the torch here in the transitional period. He already told me when he turns 65, he's retiring, so we're gonna, kind of carry the torch and continue the growth. I've lived in Perris since 1990, so I've gone through many of the years of the change in this city, and we want to make an impact in the city, influential change. We want to work with the families. We try to help as best as we can, and we want to, alongside that, provide a worship center where we can facilitate other things. Provide. We do. You'd be surprised how much we do for the city. With funerals, people come request, weddings, and so forth. So this actually make our job a lot more easier as we continue to just grow with the city. So thank you guys all for your time. If you have any questions for me, I'm here as well for that.
Well, thank you very much. All right.
Thank you for that presentation. My question is directed to the applicant. In regards to the parking, with the expected occupancy of what you guys are how many people you guys are expecting to have, do you think parking is going to be an issue with the 207 parking spaces provided?
That's a very good question. Staff did analyze the parking, and the way it was analyzed with respect to the municipal code is that it meets the parking because the entire site will not be occupied at the same time. So as church services are being conducted, the hall areas and the other buildings will not be used, if that makes sense.
Got you.
So only when the worship center is in full session, if you will, and where they have the study rooms or the classrooms, those areas is what the parking was calculated for. Everything else will fall even with additional parking left over because the church services is a major impact of the parking component. And even that, when only that is being calculated, there is a surplus because the other ones will be vacant.
Okay.
Yeah.
So even with the full service, the parking shouldn't be an issue?
Correct.
Awesome. All right,
Correct.
thank you so much.
That is correct, sir.
Well, I do have a question. I understand that this is according to the city's, the downtown plan, correct? I believe I heard that.
That is correct,
Okay.
Commissioner Gomez.
Does the type of roofing match that as well? Or I thought it was more of a tile roof.
Well, I can let the architect expand a little bit on the architecture and the materials being proposed. I'll let him.
My name is Lou Madden, spelling my last name is M-A-D-D-E-N. I'm from DMA. The shingles on the roof is of a composition or asphalt shingle type to reduce weight also because we have the fronts lower roofs that are going to be in the front of the building. So we wanted to give it a uniform look that was easy to use.
Is it part of the approved spec for the downtown area. That was kind of like what I wanted to get clarification on. I believe the downtown area is tile roofing kind of to match the style, the old Spanish style that we have, for example, these buildings here, City Hall.
I would have to check into that, but I will find out, and if we need to, we will change it.
I think staff could help us with that.
I don't recall there's an architectural styles approved
Is that
for
specifically just for like the downtown D
the
Street?
downtown. However, staff can work with the applicant and adding different architectural roof styles, roof material.
What's the lifetime on this type of material for the roof?
The architectural shingle roof, how long does it last?
Yeah, the specific type here. Just, yeah. It's such a beautiful building. It would be a shame to see it within, less than 30, 20 years start to need a new roof, deteriorate, especially with the winds that we get and the rain and the sun,
You
right?
can work with the applicant like on a flat, lightweight tile roof, for example.
Yes.
To mimic more of what the rendering
Yes.
is showing.
Yes.
If the commissioner so desires.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's worth the investment, and it will definitely give more of the aesthetic look, and it will last longer. Because this building it's a really nice building. I like the way it has a modern twist to it, but it's still very warm. So that would be a good option.
On that same note, I see that the colors on the screen make it seem even more beautiful than the samples. Like one of them is more of a beige here, where here it looks almost like a taupe color. So I feel like the colors that are there are not matching what's on the screen, and the screen really makes it look beautiful. So working with the applicant if possible, so that the colors are more of this warm color, because those are very like cream and off brown, like it's too bright. This is more
Of the cooler colors.
the cooler colors,
whites,
and
cooler-
even the little brick veneer that's added. That one is very dark, and on here it looks like it's a lot lighter. The top left, yeah. So the wood veneer on here looks a lot lighter.
It's for the insets, yeah.
Yeah. The contrast, yeah, so the colors hopefully matching more what we're seeing on the screen than those colors if possible, because I like the cooler. It really pops out all the, yes.
Yeah, we could definitely work with the applicant in trying to achieve a more likeliness to what the rendering shows.
Yeah, and on the elevation, on the south and north elevations,
Should be better.
specifically the south, that section in the middle where it's just like there's windows and then it stops. I don't know if we can add something else, because that is something that is seen as we drive up on Paris Boulevard. So I don't know, and I'm sure there's something inside that's holding it up, but even if not having the windows, but the framing or something just to make it more,
So something between the windows and
Yeah.
within that wall surface area.
yeah, because like if you look at the north elevation with the wood, even if we did something just to bring it together. I think the architect wanted to say something.
We could do something on the exterior potentially. The north elevation is actually an entrance doors. That's why it's recessed.
Yes.
The south elevation is actually where the stage is behind in the sanctuary portion. So
That's what I thought it
doing-
was. You can't make windows.
Yeah, the window, it would be very hard to do anything that would shine through, do windows,
Yes.
do anything like
Yes.
that, because that is where their stage and sanctuary is. So they're all going to be facing that, towards
Yes.
that wall.
That's what I was thinking, is something exterior, like even mimicking the windows, but not really a window. Something just
Okay.
to give it a little bit more dimension there too.
Okay, we can do that.
Thank you.
Brainstorm.
Before he sits down,
Oh, another question for Mr. Architect.
can you go over your concept of the style of this building and where'd you come up with the style? For to me, this building looks very much like a citadel fort, where, a church should be looking much more inviting than, for towers that, are protecting the edges of the building, so I'm hoping that you can tell me what your concept is and why do you use these materials and colors?
It is we had started, it was a very industrial style building when we first started. And we started adding architectural features to give it the recessed look. And the main entranceways, which we have the 3 main entranceways, we wanted to kind of continue that look on the 3 sides that were facing the parking, that people would be able to come in that way. So that's kind of how it evolved, and we added windows up high to make it look like it was more of a useful building than just being a 1-story building. I don't know if that answers your question. This is kind of like the evolution of the design. Yeah.
So I actually really like your west entry and your features of the cross, and it looks like you're really playing with arch windows with the frame of the metal frames of the building and stuff, and then you got the cross that's in the middle of it. So I love that feature, but it doesn't tie to anything else of the building. It'd be great if something can come together with it. The church is a great place for celebration and for worship, but this building to me looks very confined.
Okay.
I think it needs maybe one more rendition to improve it. And I think that's what at least 2 of my other fellow commissioners are kind of, saying too, that it needs a little bit more. Something's just missing on it. A little bit more visual interest. Like that front entry, I think that one little central element is great, but the other portions are just not completely tying it together.
Okay.
I think, I think maybe one more rendition would be very beneficial for this project.
And
Hello, my name is Angelo Martinez, Martinez. Thank you for your time and for consideration for this building. I'm the project manager for Vida Church. So the reason behind the style, if you will, is because the way the church is growing, we didn't want to make just a building that looks like a church. Should we continue to grow in the next 5-10 years? We want to be able to sell this building, make a bigger building somewhere else. If we make it like a church, then people will say like, oh, that's a church. That's exactly the reason why the height as well. So if they want to do like a second story to it, so that's what we're thinking behind the concept of the church building. Now, it is a church. As you can see, it has like a cross at the top. We don't advertise, but people keep coming and coming and coming. And that's why we wanted to stay with a multi-purpose use building, so that in the future, again, as we're looking into growing, we'll be able to, again, sell it, if you will, or, lease it out, move somewhere else, or we could expand. Because as you can see, we have limited parking, right? So we are projecting in the future. Thank you for your time.
Any more questions?
I did want to look at the landscaping, particularly landscaping on Paris Boulevard. Can we go to that? I keep looking and I'm looking for uplighting at night because Paris is a very busy street. So I was thinking, I didn't say anything about uplighting or really giving it a facelift as we drive by. Did you see that, Steph? I didn't see anything in the conditions of approval that says there has to be uplighting.
I don't believe we added a condition for uplighting, but we can add a condition for landscape uplighting along Paris Boulevard.
Yeah, and the building, is there lighting around it at night
Yes.
or on it, like highlighting certain areas?
Yeah, unfortunately, we did not provide a nighttime rendition for this.
Yeah.
But for example, like the towers that Chairman Shively was referring to, there is some accent lighting that's shining downwards, and we also have wall-mounted lighting that shines on both up and down, if you will, and also other security lighting throughout the building, but there is accent lighting.
Okay, so just a landscaping
Along Paris
uplighting along
Boulevard.
Paris Boulevard?
Okay.
Yeah, and really making sure, working with, don't know if the applicant would be open to working with staff just to making sure that that drive aisle and the little corner, because we'll see it from the freeway, and I really like that there's like a little strip. Can we go to the landscape again? Sorry.
No, it's okay.
There is some landscaping along the border with the highway because we will see it. And it'll be a beautiful building with some landscaping, but I didn't see a lot of trees back there. Is there a reason we didn't want trees along that corridor in the back?
Are you referring to on the west side of?
Yes.
There is a slope or a grade increase with the ramp over the freeway.
Yeah.
And so as you drive, there's a increase in elevation, so you don't see it from the bottom because when you drive
Okay.
visually, the parking here or the buildings down here, the
Ramps up.
ramps it slopes upward, so you don't see it.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, that was it for me. Thank you.
Anything?
So I guess I didn't get a solid answer that I wanted to hear, but I'm wondering if the applicant is willing to work with at least staff, if not ad hoc, for doing another rendition of this building.
Let me see. I just wanted for clarification, do you want to, I guess you'll be let me just make sure I understand it. You want to present two options, either to work with staff, move the project forward, or have the ad hoc and still move the project forward, or have an ad hoc and then come back?
We can move the project forward and have an ad hoc if we can. Because we're basically approving what is currently here if we approve it today, correct?
I guess that's an option to
Yeah,
have an ad hoc to finalize the architecture. I'll talk to our legal counsel about that.
Right. I wouldn't recommend that option because if you're approving it and then there's still so many uncertainties regarding what would be discussed at the ad hoc.
Correct. Okay. And I would go with that option to at least have an ad hoc and then come back. Or work with staff and come back, whatever the applicant would like to do.
If you go to the ad hoc, then we have to continue to a certain specific date. Now, that question comes down to the applicant. Is the applicant willing to postpone it, a month? Because obviously the holidays, no one's going to be meeting much. So that is an applicant question.
Yeah, I think if you continue it, I would just tell the applicant, because of the holidays and everything else and having
It
to
would be in
schedule a
January.
meeting. And you can ask, it would be January 17th.
Yeah, it's entirely up to them. I have no problem, it's entirely up to them.
Or continue.
Or unless you feel comfortable with staff making the changes and then we can move forward, or otherwise, if it's an ad hoc, it would probably be best to continue it.
It sounds like the other commissioners would like to at least have an ad hoc.
I agree with the ad hoc.
I would only ask a question, you, please come forward if you have no problem with the continuance. I need the applicant to go on board, because that's the bottom line, is the applicant.
I guess our end goal here is to get this project approved. So we would yield our recommendation to what you guys would suggest. If we have to come back in a month and get it approved, then we can do that at the disposal to the committee here.
Okay. I just like came from the applicant rather than being authoritarian here, just, okay. Well,
I wanted to ask, not sure if the applicant or if staff can answer, is there a rendering just for the play equipment? And if there's any landscape in that area? I don't see any here.
That area, as far as staff's understanding, is existing. We don't have a rendering for the play equipment.
Oh, I see. So as it is, it doesn't have, according to the drawing as it is, it doesn't have any trees or
Yeah.
landscape.
Well, I don't recall there's any vegetation as far as a tree there, but it's not subject to this evening's presentation as far as the play equipment area.
Okay. Would the applicant be willing to add more trees to the landscape areas, the end caps, so to speak, of the parking area where the lights are? So there's a light pole and there's shrubs, but there's no trees.
That one, it's not colored.
Because there's no grass area proposed at this, with this whole area here. It's all cement, right? So there's gonna be a lot of heat. So the more trees we have, I think would be best. Especially, we know if the cars are waiting or, family friendly and, right?
I would want to, I know it's not shown here, but I'm looking at an aerial zoom in, and that area does have trees and some landscaping, but just wanted to note that.
Don't be afraid to get it.
Commissioner,
Okay. You're making the applicant nervous.
There are trees throughout the parking lot. I'm not understanding where you would like the
Oh,
additional
because
landscaping.
I'm not sure, we can see that slide. There's a slide with the slide that's showing the landscape, the front of the church, the proposed church. There's several corners with shrubs, but no trees. Can we go back to that?
Yeah, the end caps, there are trees being proposed.
Okay,
Um,
sorry.
The tree isn't painted, just the silhouette of the exterior of the trees being reflected?
Yeah, well, the rendering doesn't match the landscape.
Okay, that's what it is then.
Yeah, and maybe working on really amplifying the entrance to the church with landscaping. With the uplighting, making sure there's like a focus. You see it on, yes.
I see the outline.
Yes.
Commissioner Jimenez, so do you want more landscape enhancements at the entryway?
Yeah, I know that usually when we talk about landscaping, when we're thinking about commercial, we think about the 3 levels, right? That's what we talk about, the ground cover, mid-level, and then trees. So making sure we have those elements, hopefully in the corner, to really brighten it up.
Well, it's important to make sure that renderings at least
Matches.
resemble.
Because, yeah, it's very different on here.
Yeah, I think what it's going to come down to is the continuance, and we have a list of things you probably need to take down. I haven't even spoken to, but a list of things that we would be discussing rather than go into detail here. And hopefully you've got some of these. Well, I'll go back and we can sort of, if that's the commission's desire. And it really comes down to, if you're going to do the ad hoc, then we will have to vote a continuance date. And then we can list some of the issues that we can put forward for the ad hoc committee to discuss. You may come up with things then. But I think you can see it's not necessarily that, some of it's, on our case, nitpicking, but some of it's because Paris Boulevard, Pace Boulevard, Paris Boulevard, obviously you don't want to block the view of the church by having real tall trees. That's blatantly obvious. You don't want to do that. But then you have the police and all the other stuff, and I don't know what kind of garbage, they don't have any fencing or hardly anything there. That's a mess. Sorry, guys, arrest me, okay? But that needs to be screened, and so there's other issues that would need to be addressed that we really can't do at this point. So my suggestion is go through some of the items, 1 through 10, if there's no objection. Then we can decide if we want to continue at a certain date, because it would be better than we'll be here all night, because we obviously have some additional things that, if that's okay. So unless I'm not doing it right, I think it just comes down to we're probably going to need to continue it with the ad hoc committee, and if you have an ad hoc committee, we can't vote on it today. So that's obvious. So,
Chair Hammond, if
yes,
I may,
ma'am.
just for the sake of procedure, I know we've gotten into the discussion portion, but if we could call for public comment and then come
Oh, yeah,
to close
yeah,
the public
yeah.
hearing and then come back to this portion. of
Yeah, because we really would, and since the public is them, so I will go on and say, if there's any public comment at this time, please come forward to the rostrum, podium. And on this agenda item, we'll certainly welcome you at this point. And seeing no public comment on this item, I'm saying move to discussion. Okay, we move back to discussion. I think we pretty much discussed it, right? Okay, I'm gonna go through some things and you can help me out, some things that will help the ad hoc committee. If we're talking about continuance, we need to have some things to go to continuance, because there'll be some things you're gonna discuss there. So we went down some things. For instance, number 1, the discussion concerning a flat tile roof, changing it from that material to maybe a hard tile. That's a discussion. The south elevation design, there was kind of flat there, so if there could be some design elements to that, what we're showing here was 2-3 blank walls, right? Landscaping, uplighting, that would be shown, because a night rendering is what we don't see, so it's a night rendering, and on Paris Boulevard, it's very big, because you're right across from City Hall. Yeah, we don't know what the impact would be on, no. And so uplighting throughout that area might be something of consideration as well. As far as the renderings on the front, I'll leave it to the architects to discuss the ad hoc, whatever other renderings, material, things of that nature, I'll leave that to them. I think we've discussed, also too, what we didn't mention was the fact that coming south, it's gonna turn left in there. There's only one entrance. So that's already taken care of, that's there. It's no other issues related to that. If I'm missing something, let me know. That goes to the ad hoc. And you talked about more trees that could possibly be in that corridor, in that corner as you enter the facility. The potential for more trees. Now, we have the landscape plan, but that changes. That is something that you guys would work with them. We're not trying to delay this till June, okay? No. But the idea is since there's so many questions, I don't want to be here for 3 hours because we've got a lot of issues. So if that is something that we don't have, unless I missed something. Okay. And hope.
Commissioners, so if we can add also the colors should reflect the colors that we're showing on the presentation.
Yeah.
Yes.
The materials itself, that can be reviewed as well.
Materials. Okay.
And I just want to clarify, you like the color material shown on the perspective more than the color elevation board, so you would like the color board to kind of match the
Yes.
perspective more?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully Sylvia, she's doing such a good job over there, right? Okay, so since we're moving to a continuance, I'll read it anyway, because that's what I have to do. Conditional use permit. What's going on here? Conditional use permit 22-05284. A proposal to construct a 27,132 square foot church building on a 3.72 acre lot located at 251 North Paris Boulevard on the east side of Paris Boulevard between San Jacinto Avenue and the I-215 freeway within the Civic Center zone of the Paris Downtown Specific Plan. Requested action. Requested action is the continuation of this project to January 17th, 2024. And that is ultimately it. So we're not talking about adopting the resolution. We're moving it to continue to January 17th, 2024. And, now what did I forget?
With the request for it to go to an ad hoc committee.
Right, request to go to ad hoc committee. All the pressure's on ad hoc now. We can blame the ad hoc committee if they do. Okay. Now, we just need a motion for that, continuance. Moved by Vice Chair Shively, seconded by Commissioner Lopez. Hope you got that, right, Sylvia? Okay.
Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
Commissioner Jimenez,
Yes?
Commissioner Gomez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Shively,
Yes.
Chair Hammond.
Yes.
With a vote of 5-0, this motion is approved to be continued.
And a very deep thank you to the applicant and the staff for patience. We will work through it. And I didn't think it was a good idea to do it this month. There's too much going on. But we will see you again. Okay. We move on to item 7, business items. I can't believe there's any. So we move on to item 8, public comment. Anyone in the public wishing to address the planning commission on items not on the agenda may do so at this time. Oh, yes, sir. Okay. That's okay. Just state your full name and spell your last name for us.
My name's Thomas Baggett, Baggett. My property is 4280 Patterson Ave. I want to thank you guys for one thing, that I got my building done, basically. There was a couple items. Right now, I'm working off a TCO, and there was a couple items that were wrote up by Monica Carenza, I believe is how you say the last name. Is that correct? Okay, so I tried getting a hold of her because we took care of 90% of them. But there was also a couple items that are maintenance problems. I'm the owner of the building. I'm also the occupier, Canyon Steel. And those maintenance problems would be ongoing. The architect was non-responsive. So in this letter or email from the city of Paris, she said, just come down to one of these meetings and go ahead and state what you have. So I did put some plans together and marked off the items. One of them was some corrugated metal that was on my building. And in lieu of that, we just painted that stripe. Not a big stripe, but a different thing that was on the original plans that you guys, accepted when we did the building. So I don't know how to proceed on those changes, but the building is done. When I mean done, it's landscaped, it's done. We We did all the streets, we did everything that we were supposed to do. It was definitely challenging. It was my first building, so let me just tell you, until you've done it, you don't know. But I do, Kenneth, I remember his name. He was a big part of it. We're just a small family business trying to survive. And when I seen that on the plans, I didn't even know it was there, the corrugated metal. I think he probably tried to incorporate that in the structural steel company. But I do have some pictures right now, one big picture of the building, how it sits today. But I don't know how I go forward to get that removed, which would be no one would even know it was there. Let's put it that way.
Okay. I'm going to refer you to staff, because we can't respond, but I will refer you to staff, and they can take if they don't have your number, they can take your number and information.
Okay.
And all that. But you're on the record now, so at least you're on the record.
Yeah, that's fine. That's why I came down. I mean, it was quite interesting tonight, let me just tell you that.
Okay.
I don't know how you guys do it, just to be honest. I don't know how you do it.
Okay.
But I put a set of plans in here. I also wrote Planning Commission meeting, verbal podium request. So you knew it was a verbal podium request. And maybe I can leave these with somebody?
See, right here. Our
This young lady?
Mhm. Very young lady.
Don't be scared. You got the first one done.
Like I said, until you've done it, it's a tough deal. It's not an easy deal. I know that these people that we're talking, they are not the owners probably. They're developers. They build it. They sell it. They get out of Dodge. We're there forever, And then I got my son that is going to take over. I'll probably be there forever too. But he retired at 28 as a famous guy, and I told him no way. So he's there now working, and we enjoy it. It's definitely a good location for us. Let's just put it that way.
Thank you very much.
Oh, absolutely. Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir, for being
Everybody take the rest of the night off with pay. I'm just telling you.
I like that thinking, too.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for being so patient, too.
Yeah, no, it was great. I mean, there was a couple little hurdles, but other than that, it actually went pretty good. It's not like in Florida, though. In Florida, you do the handshake, and you just move on down the road. Yeah. We're a little different on the West Coast. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Okay. And we close the public comment portion. Patient people, I have to mention. And number 9, we move on to commission members' announcements or reports.
Just want to thank city staff for the presentations that we had today. I unfortunately couldn't make it to the In-N-Out grand opening. I did try going opening day, but it was not happening. I turned around. I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna wait a whole hour. But I did fortunately make it this past Monday, so I did get to try it out. It's a beautiful, delicious. Happy to have them in the city, and the build was nice. Everything came out perfect. Also, this Saturday we have the Christmas parade. So super excited for that. It's gonna be my 3rd one attending. So hope to see a lot of the residents out there, and just super excited. And I'll see you guys one more time for the Planning Commission meeting before Christmas and the holidays. So besides that, just wish everybody a good night.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely very happy to have that In-N-Out up and going. It was really interesting to see how the company works. The tour and everything was very nice. And so far, all of the people that I've spoken with, the residents are very happy. And so I'm very happy for that too. Can't wait for that Raising Cane's to get started and running. So I can't wait to see everyone at the parade this Saturday. Very much looking forward to it. And I'd like to thank staff for all the hard work that they put into these meetings and making it happen, and of course, answering our questions. And hope we may look at, but we're not scary, really. Just, I know I have that look, but I'm not. But I think that's it for me. I know that this year last year I couldn't attend the parade, but this year we'll be there, and I'll be there with my baby, who's he will be 11 months on the 23rd. Yeah, so he'll be there with us as well. But yeah, it'll be great. Thank you.
I'll skip walking down with you so they won't get the wrong idea.
I'm just looking down as for anybody. So I did enjoy the In-N-Out walkthrough. I did take note of the employee areas. I thought they were very impressive. It appears that, the concept is not just hamburgers, but it's also the employees behind them that makes it a good concept. And the spaces that they had carved out for the employees, the break room, the works, the areas that they can do training, and even the locker room. I'd never seen so many lockers in a restaurant setting in all the ones I've designed, because the only ones I've seen was like 6 lockers. They probably had 40 in there. So I was quite impressed. I also want to thank the city for the little small tie that I got. I appreciate that very much. Sylvia, thank you for your time doing that. And again, I look forward to the parade on Saturday.
Looking forward to the parade. I, have a broken toe, so I will not be walking it.
No, we won't either.
But I will be there supporting and cheering on all our amazing participants. I think almost every single band in our area is going to be there, so keep an ear open. I know the Rancho Verde band just won their competition on Saturday, so I'm looking forward to them doing really well. There is a band competition earlier before the parade if you want to listen to that. If not, you'll hear them marching down the parade route. So looking forward to that. Isaac, if you're going to walk, I'll be cheering you on really, really loud. Jack, you too. I might have candy and water for you guys at the end. Maybe. So In-N-Out was amazing. I was very, very impressed. I always knew they took care of their staff. I didn't know to what level. So it made me even prouder to have them come into our city, hire local, and take care of a lot of them are young scholars trying to get into college. They have scholarships. There really is long-term job opportunities. There was a historian who was showing us the amazing things they get as they age through, have anniversaries with the organization, and they really, really take care of their staff. So makes me even happier to have an organization like that come into our city.
Well, thank you. 2 things. One, I'm really proud of the city and the way the city has the spirit that the city has and connectivity to each other. And I've been in a lot of cities. It does not exist. Doesn't exist. Yeah, and then one other thing too, the Christmas lighting on that Friday was excellent. And there was a lot of people there too. And I left, and they was probably there till after 10, probably almost 11. And I wasn't going to do that. But they had a line of people getting food. I mean, the city just had a wonderful side. They threw me up on the stage and said, oh, no, this is what I like about the city of Paris. They said, no, you are part of this. Instead of just sit in the background and said, no, get up here. And that's what I like about the staff here, and I appreciate it. Make you feel like it's a family. I know you don't get that anywhere else, but it's like a family here, and I appreciate it, especially John. He always got this. I drive him crazy every 5 minutes. What about this? And that was beautiful, too. I think this Saturday is at 7 o'clock. They're going to have the breakfast at the restaurant across the street, and they're going to have the parade afterwards. If we walk by, we'll just walk up there and say we're City of Paris, get out of the way. But we come after the council. If anything happens, we come. But I think I appreciate that, and I appreciate everything on. And lastly, the In and Out, who did not want to come here a few years ago. But now they see the benefits of Paris at some 80,000 people, makes a big difference. I almost 3 minutes away from there, and they must have 150, 200 people in the afternoon. That's unimaginable anywhere else. I mean, they have a dirt parking lot. We may have a problem with parking later, but they're parking in the dirt over there, and we're going to really have an issue. It's not slowing down. And the perfect location right there. And Raising Cane's is going to add another 200 people. So good luck in that corner. And, but I really appreciate it. There are good things going on. So, yeah. The great tour, like he said, and we know it's not processed food. They were peeling the potatoes right in front of us. Right there. This is what we do. We're not getting some processed stuff somewhere. But we appreciate it. And hopefully future things coming on. So I'm going to stop and say for those that can make it Saturday, fine. You know, if you can't. But I will be there at 7. I'll be there at 7 o'clock. Like, I need coffee. I got to have the coffee first thing, but no coffee. But I will turn it over to you, and we've got a lot of things going on. I know the next meeting. So to our, not director, because the other one, he slipped out of here. Where'd he go? But our planning manager. Okay.
He escaped. But I do have a report for our upcoming meeting on December 20th. We're going to have 6 items on that agenda, so just be prepared. One of them is the scoping meeting that was continued from today. Then we're going to have 2 conditional use permits, one for the establishment of a barber shop on Morgan. It's within the Paris Valley Commerce Center specific plan. And then the second CUP is for the expansion of Good Day Brewery on Walnut Avenue. We're also going to have a commercial industrial development. The project is known as OLC3. It's on Ramona Expressway between Paris and Redlands. We're going to have another scoping meeting for an EIR related to a 507,000 square foot industrial building, northeast corner of Placentia and Wilson. And we're going to have, I want to say, 4 street naming reviews. Those are consent items, but there is about 4 of them. And that's all I have to report for our upcoming meeting on December 20th. And again, all of you reminded the community we have our upcoming Christmas parade this Saturday, which I'm going to be a part of. So I'm excited about that. That will be my first Christmas parade here. Okay. So I'm looking forward to it. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Good. And the limousine we're going to be in, yeah, right. No, thank you. And I think since we're going to be here, we will have our Christmas or holiday dinner on the 14th. And of course, everyone knows about it. If you can, we would love her to be there because I've been to many of them. Couldn't do last year, so I'm so thankful to make this year. But yeah, it's going to be a reunion. We'll be reunion. It's actually for staff. They just throw us alongside for the commission. We know it's staff. It's a staff dinner. Come on. No, we appreciate it. So that's the 14th. We got a lot going on this month, guys. So 14th meeting, we've got the 20th, we've got this Saturday. So, we're going to be worn out by January. And January is going to have some other things going on. So thank you very much. Thank our interpreter here. He's got it going in there. Real nice guy, too, if you don't know. And thanks, Sylvia, I won't say, but just thank for all you do for us. Okay. These are under $49.99, right? Okay. Yeah. Just blame the attorney. Got me always thinking, it's $49. Okay. 5 cents over. But anyway, thank you. And with that adjournment, I don't think we even have to worry about vote on adjournment. Everyone here agrees. Just put a name down any way you want. Okay, we don't care. So thank you. We will see you guys hopefully Saturday. Definitely on the 20th. Okay? Oh, the 14th and then the 20th. Oh my goodness. And with that, good night.